for Jonathan Taylor. There he goes again. 50, 40, down the far sideline. He might do it again. 10, 5, touchdown. INDY.
Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Siakam drives it, pulls up, 20 feet away, tie ball game. 5 seconds to play. Here comes a long three. It's an air ball, rebounded by Siakam, and we go to overtime. We're down to 17 seconds left in the overtime as Mathurin drives, slips inside of Gilgeous-Alexander, and scores from the dotted half circle. Game tied with 9 seconds to go, shot clock off. Oklahoma City missed a chance to tie at the end of regulation. Here comes Gilgeous-Alexander, rolls it off the rim, tipped out to the wing. Holmgren can't get the shot off before time expires. 3:42 left in the overtime. He got into the lane. This time his left hand betrayed him. Rebound Toppin. It's 3-on-1 to the other end. Toppin to Siakam. Back to Toppin, who caught it and dunked it right in front. Here's Toppin into the forecourt, attacking immediately down the left side. He lays it in with the left hand. He has scored 20. The Pacers within 4. And now on the inbound, what do we have? The Thunder called a timeout. They just about turned it over in backcourt, but the ruling on the floor is that Oklahoma City called the timeout. That was a turnover. The only question is whether the timeout was called first.
Were you given an explanation for your no timeout or the one that when Obi caught the steal, both of those plays at any point in the game?
I'm not talking about the refs. If I talk about the refs, I'll get fined an exorbitant amount of money.
Only thing missing was no disrespect to rats. Good Friday morning to you. We are closing out the week right here. It'll be us three once again. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton. James, I asked you a few weeks ago when the last time you hooped was. You might need to board the plane for some point guard minutes coming up on this road trip.
Yeah, this is getting real bleak, man. I know I made the joke about Russell Westbrook weeks ago, and I'm not even bringing that up again, but just the lack of bodies they have at that position when it comes to Andrew Nembhard going down last night with a left shoulder injury. Rick Carlisle didn't have an update after the game, said that he'll get evaluated more today, but said something along the lines of this could be a big test for us, a big challenge for us in the absence of Andrew Nesmith, but Andrew Nembhard. So tough go.
Yeah, that is an understatement. So we'll recap everything, get you set for, of course, Week 8 in the NFL. I don't think a whole lot of Friday injury debates for the Colts, but we'll chat about that and look ahead to the 425 matchup between Colts and Titans coming up on Sunday. But let's go back to last night, and certainly, there's a lot that I thought to myself, boy, different year, same old Pacers. Just gutty, gritty as hell, taking every punch, punching back time and time again. And reminded to myself of, as much as we bitch and moan about the FanDuel Bally TV subscription, they should give us heart medication to go with it when you're having to watch this Pacers team. Mather and Siakam, incredible. I actually think Taylor Peters got a little game to him. I don't know if the box score showed that last night, but damn, man, I as much as I want to celebrate some of that stuff, James, I just can't get over where they're at from a health standpoint at point guard. I mean, the biggest news item of the night is Andrew Nembhard in whatever injury state he's in. I mean, you are beyond scrambling mode. I don't even know what the rules allow you to do. Can you bring Campaign back today?
Honestly, I feel like Tony East would be a better person to ask that question to because he's all over that, when it comes to contract situations and different rules and stipulations. And the NBA, I think, is more complicated than the NFL in that regard. But yes, Kevin, I think you have to kind of revisit all of the options.
Yeah, so again, Andrew Nembhard left. I guess he really never left the game, per se, with an obvious injury. It looked like he did get hurt at one point in the first half, guarding Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and then he stayed in through the entire first half and then was ruled out at the start of the third quarter. And you had Ben Shepherd getting point guard minutes then. And, one thing that was, as much as the grit and the guttiness, James, was so Pacers-like from previous years, the one thing that was not was the beautiful offensive flow that we're used to. I mean, for those that watched the game last night, the Pacers scored, but they scored because Benedict Mathurin and Pascal Siakam are beyond gifted as one-on-one players. They only had 19 assists in regulation. For those that maybe that number doesn't resonate. That would have been their second fewest in any game last season. So they were a one-on-one basketball team for the most part. The flow with the lack of point guards certainly is going to be a question until they get healthy. And TJ McConnell's not going to be back for at least a couple weeks, and obviously we'll await the status on Andrew Nembhard.
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't even talk about it there in the first few minutes, but also SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, drops 55 with 26 free throws, a career high in both categories for him. I know when he walked off the floor last night, he got booed mercilessly because if you're a Thunder fan, you love what he's doing. If you're a Pacers fan, you're like, really? I got to deal with this again after just seeing it in the finals 4 months ago. And it's a weird brand of basketball. It is special. I have to admit that. Anytime you drop 55, yes. But, man, that was such a weird game. So when Rick Carlisle went, I will not go there because I will lose money, I was like, I understand. Because they're not just the SGA stuff, but just some of the calls. Obviously, the timeout / Obi stole it moment was a big one. Because when that happened, oh boy, Kevin, I was thinking, oh, here come these Pacers.
Right. You thought it was last year once again.
And can I make a PSA announcement? I don't want to grandstand too often here on 107.5 The Fan, but to the fans who were leaving early without small children, I'm like, well, what are we doing? Trying to beat the traffic or something? I get it. If you had to work the next day, responsibilities, whatnot. Opening night, you gotta stay committed to that. You gotta stay till the end. You have people. I saw people who got up out of their seats after, I want to say towards the end of the first in regulation, and we're getting ready to leave. Pacers making it interesting at the end. Pascal Siakam missed a jumper. All of a sudden, people start waving back down to their seats. Stick with this team. Have you learned nothing?
Yeah, I think opening night, that's a big no-no.
Come on now.
Buzzer should go off if you're trying to walk
basketball's
out
different here. Let's live up to our reputation
of the arena.
It did look like almost like a preseason game, attendance-wise, near the end. I'm like, what happened here?
I know, but a lot of people left early, but man, it was loud. You can tell just how much it meant to that crowd. And I would say in particular, Benedict Mathurin, he was going at Lou Dort. They grew up together. He was talking the talk, walking the walk. Oh, boy, I tell you what, he might drive you crazy in some moments, but that dude is talented.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can say enough good things about him and Siakam for what they did. I hate to even bring this up because I thought the end of the game sequences, both Siakam and him made very tough shots. Siakam at the end of regulation there over Chet, and then Mathurin at the end of overtime to really force it into a second overtime. The one possession I would like to have back was Pacers down one, about 20 seconds to go in regulation. Siakam gets Chet Holmgren on him the first time.
Oh, yes, preach.
And I thought he settled immediately for the three.
Yes.
There was still like 6-7 left, and I don't say 6-7 as that joke that all the young kids do. But there was a little bit of time.
I yelled at my kids. Yeah, I'm like, stop doing that, please. I can't take it anymore.
Can you walk past an 11-year-old right now and not see that going on?
My annoyance is that it means nothing. It means nothing, and it's not funny.
Yeah, the jokes are getting stupider, and that's probably my one time I'll sound really old on the airwaves, but yeah, I'm getting to that point.
Yeah, we all probably should get off our lawn here if we want to get to the next generation. But that one possession, I thought, oh, you're settling against Chet. Like, just see if he can stay on his feet. And obviously, the second possession, you got him on skates, and boom, you were able to get him on the ground and hit the 16, 18-foot pull-up there. That's maybe the one, if Siakam's able to work a little bit more and, again, test Chet, then you're up one with, 12 seconds to go. And, I thought Jenny Busick did a great job in throwing those doubles at Shai when the game was on the line there. So, again, it's probably a small gripe, but for the most part, it's a hat tip once again to the incredible effort. It is absurd how injured they are at point guard. Shout out to Jack Doyle for giving us Jamison Brewer yesterday. I don't know if Jamison Brewer still has his shoes that he gave to Jack Doyle, or maybe Jack Doyle can give them back to Jamison Brewer because the Pacers need point guard help. And they need a starting center that doesn't foul. Because Isaiah Jackson fouls more than I eat Doritos on the weekend. 4 fouls in 8 minutes.
Yeah, that was rough, man.
That's his MO.
So, but here's a stat for you that was crazy because I actually
this guy had 9 fouls in like 35 minutes in the preseason.
So I went through this because I had to work this game for The Athletic, and Isaiah Jackson, Tony Bradley, and Jay Huff combined for more fouls than points last night. 8 fouls, 7 points.
Well,
among your 3 centers that you played.
And James, I think I said to you yesterday, give me Don't hack centers and rebound. Those are my two. Before I even got to, I think I asked for Jay Huff to hit an open shot, which I believe he did hit 1-3. But those are my first two asks. Isaiah Jackson in 8 minutes, rebound. Tony Bradley 10 minutes, 0 rebounds.
Yeah,
like that's what they're out there to do. And so
I agree. No, I'm with you on that. That's a bad look.
But the biggest storyline, unfortunately, from last night is the Andrew Nembhard injury and how long is he going to be out, and what does that do for a Pacer team that I think has a brutal start to the schedule. So. Again, there's a lot.
I'm not having fun anymore with Pacers basketball. This is not it, man.
Yeah,
it's only game one.
I just hate it.
Talk me off the ledge.
Again, it's so much of the off the court. It's so much of the injury situation at point guard, at least right now. So we'll continue to recap a whole lot of that and get you set for a Football Friday. James Boyd threw some trade targets at us up on the Athletic. We will go over a few of those. Try to get to that A.D. Mitchell audio here in a little bit and get you set for the final practice of the week. Colts and Titans here as the Chargers absolutely dominate the Vikings on Thursday Night Football. Might be time for Carson Wentz to get healthy and head back to Holiday Farms and see if he can get some fall golf in here for the rest of the year. We'll get you set with it all. It is a Football Friday. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton right here on The Fan.
3.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
And never a shortage of entertainment when you're watching the Indiana Pacers. And last night you got all of it. It did not end in a win, though. 141-135, double overtime. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 55 points. He was at the foul line a ton. It ended up being 23 of 26 from the line. Benedict Mathurin also at the foul line a lot, 15 of 17. He finished with 36. I believe I saw that was the second most points for a Pacer ever in an opener. I would not have gotten number one. I guess Jalen Rose had a 40-burger one night.
Okay.
Would not have guessed that. Pascal Siakam, 32. James Boyd, your grand takeaways from last night.
You need point guards. Andrew Nembhard is now in kind of that limbo where we have to figure out what's next with him with his left shoulder. And then your centers, you really miss Miles Turner, and it was very evident from game one last night.
I would agree. Can I also gripe about one thing from last night?
Feel free, my friend.
The lefty point guard for the Thunder,
A.J. Mitchell.
oh my gosh, the Pacers couldn't guard him.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought this up because when I was talking to other people throughout the game, shout out to my guy Jamal Collier from ESPN, fellow Illinois alum. He covers.
He's a smooth operator.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. I was looking at him. I said, dude, who is this guy?
Right. I would
Why
agree.
do the OKC Thunder always have some random person I never heard of who's like really good? Because even down the stretch, was it Aaron Wiggins who hit like some big dagger
and
threes?
Wiggins, Wiggins hit a few threes in the finals.
And I get that, but even then, I'm like,
Right.
isn't he enough?
Yeah.
So now you got some other guy who I, again, don't know who he really is. He hit some big buckets down the stretch as well. And so,
He had
yeah.
26 off the bench.
I know. They're loaded.
My other big takeaway is the Thunder can't keep up this pace with double overtime games every single night.
No, but to their credit,
First time in NBA history, right? Team started the
Yeah.
season with back-to-back.
but
double
they're
overtime.
also banged up. Like they were down like 4 rotation guys, and then
Right,
SGA
right.
just said, "All right, I'm going to just go get fouled every time I play basketball."
Off today, the Pacers, and it's a road trip. Back-to-back Saturday, Sunday, Memphis, Minnesota, at Dallas Wednesday. And if you are a point guard, go ahead and knock on the St. Vincent Center front door because the Pacers need point guard. I say that in all seriousness. Point guard help is needed. All right, final injury report of the week coming later today for the Colts. James, I feel like we aren't in a big debating Friday. Josh Downs seems to be trending in a good direction. You know, obviously Alec Pierce did have a setback a couple Fridays ago, but that seems to be going well. Defensive end-wise, it looks like they'll be down at least one, if not two, with Tyquan Lewis also missing yesterday's practice. Samson Ebukam, of course, is at week to week. And I would guess it'll be another week for Jalen Jones. So, I don't know. Friday injury report, we've sat here before here, and I've thought, oh boy, a lot of questions. Today, I don't really feel that way.
Yeah, not a lot of questions. I just think one of the trickle-down questions is what happens with JT Tuimoloau out. Do you give him more of an opportunity? And I think in this case, it makes sense to do that. But what does that look like? Just because he's available, do you use him? How many snaps does he play? Does he get a bigger opportunity to get, especially against a team that isn't very good, quite frankly? So what does that mean for him? And can he gain a bit of confidence going into a bigger challenge the following week?
Yeah, right now, I guess third defensive end for him, which definitely is playing a good amount of rotational snaps. Titans, again, down 3 of their top 3 highest paid guys. Colts are a 14.5-point favorite in this one. All right, Thursday Night Football last night. Chargers roll 37-10. Or 30, was it 37-10? Is that the final there? Jason Hammer, 2 of 3. Is that right, Mark Dykton? And he hit the Benedict Mathurin. Did you guys catch that? Plus 290, Mathurin, first three-pointer for the Pacers. Late clock. Beautiful by Jason Hammer. Last night, World Series Game 1. Blake Snell. You savage? Am I saying that right? Trey, you savage?
I mean, I guess I'll trust you.
Sure.
It's a hell of a story. He's worked his way all the way up from single A to the majors this year. He will be on the mound for the Blue Jays, pitching at East Carolina last year. He was great. I do remember him against the Yankees. He was great against the Yankees earlier in the postseason. So that's your matchup here. Game 1 of the Fall Classic. We'll get you set for the first night of the IHSAA State Football Playoffs. Again, just to remind everybody, as we've expanded and, you know, the re-enrollments, if you will, or the reclassifications, if you will, it's pretty much a night for the smaller schools. 1A to 4A, I think we have one 5A matchup. Not a lot of local flavor, but we'll get you set. Greg Rakestraw joined us at 8. Dominic Miranda from WTHR on the other side. And from a college standpoint, it is a busy weekend down there in Bloomington. It'll be big noon kickoff tomorrow. Well over a 3-touchdown favorite. Indiana against UCLA. And up in West Lafayette, it is homecoming. Purdue is a slight underdog against Big Ten winless Rutgers. So something has to give in that. And speaking of Purdue, they will get their basketball season started exhibition-wise tonight in Rupp. Matt Painter announcing yesterday the starting 5 for the Boilers to begin the season. Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, and Trey Kaufman-Renn are the obvious ones. Transfer Oscar Clough from South Dakota State. Matt Painter, big fan of his rebounding. He will be a starting big, and then C.J. Cox, who I have labeled as Andrew Nemhart of the Purdue Boilermakers. I love me some C.J. Cox. He will be the 5th starter there. Raleigh Burgess going to take a red shirt. So that's tonight, 6 o'clock. I want to say it's SEC Network for Purdue and Indiana. They've got their exhibition game with Baylor over at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. That's Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. I don't think this is normal Baylor, or at least what maybe we've been used to with them. I saw they were picked to finish kind of middle of the pack in the Big 12 and kind of where Indiana was in receiving votes. Left it for anything that you guys would like to add from the storyline that broke yesterday when we were on the show after 24 hours to learn more and digest it all. Where are we at with Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and the Italian Mafia?
I'll say this. Reading through the affidavit, especially when it comes to Chauncey Billups, who was never named, but they made it very clear, like, oh, this person was an NBA veteran who played from this year to this year and is currently an NBA head coach. I'm like, okay, well, that's Chauncey Billups.
And went to Colorado.
Yeah, it sounds like he really made some very, very poor decisions, telling people about players who weren't going to play, that he was coaching, and I think from their perspective, the Billups court, they're going to be like, oh, he wasn't aware of what was going on. It is hard to argue that given the amount of evidence that they kind of laid out in the affidavit. So, I saw Josina Anderson put out some tweet or some quote that she got from NBA GM, and it said something about like, oh, he'll be fine. And every single reply to that tweet, which I thought was honestly comedic, was like, no, he will not be fine. You're being investigated by the FBI.
I had to laugh yesterday because the Rozier stuff broke at like whatever 8:10 or something like that when we were in a segment.
Yeah.
The Billups news broke during a commercial. I was doing a live read, and all of a sudden I'm doing the live read, and James Boyd's face. One of my favorite gifs out there, Mark Dykton, is the Northwestern kid. When they show the crowd of the Northwestern kid, like the can't believe, he's like half crying, half like just he's hysteric. That was James Boyd's face as he's reacting, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to get this live read over to figure out what the news was.
I feel like Chauncey Billups has like, if the Pacers had won Game 7, they would have had a championship that's similar to what the Pistons did, where they won one in this era where you had Shaq, Tim Duncan. Chauncey Billups was the Finals MVP without being an All-Star that year. I'm like, well, that's the lore that I remember you for, and now I'm thinking, are you a fraud? What's going on there? Why would you make that decision?
Busted.
And then the length of the cheating, like X-ray tables.
Oh man,
contacts and glasses. Mark,
Altered
what are those? I got my glasses on this morning. What kind of glasses you got?
I gotta go with James Boyd never wears glasses, and all of a sudden he's rocking them today. I'm a little nervous.
Honestly, it's because I went to bed so late after that game writing this story. But
he's getting your debit card information.
Yeah,
as we speak.
you know what? You know what it is? It's X-ray vision glasses. KB. Pretty good over there.
I'm going to put the backpack underneath the table here. My most disappointing element of yesterday was seeing the Trailblazers not promote Nate Bjorkgren to be their interim coach.
There you go.
So, Mark Dykton, if we could get a little audio on that. Tiago Splitter. Forgot about that name.
An X-ray table to read the cards.
Unbelievable.
I mean, that is like James Bond kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, dang, all this cheating. How did you get caught? Who snitched?
Again, Italian Mafia, poker games, all of it. It's a lot. Okay, on the other side, we'll talk a little high school football. We'll start the playoffs coming up later tonight. Much more on the Pacers opener against the Thunder and previewing Colts and Titans. Thanks for rounding out the week with us. This is the Fan Morning Show.
It's just about the readiness and the togetherness. They have a very high care factor.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, it's a busy Friday for us here on The Fan. We're getting you set for what is a loaded weekend. Again, we're starting to get into these Pacers-Colts overlaps. So just to remind everybody for Sunday, Colts-Titans, that is a 4:25 kickoff. That's going to be available on our sister station. That is 97.1 Hank FM. It'll all start 12:30. JMV's got you going. The ride to kickoff, that will be here on The Fan. And then Colts game on Hank FM 97.1. Why? Because Pacers T-Wolves. Second night of a back-to-back up there in the Land of Lakes. 6:30 p.m. The coverage will begin on The Fan. So Pacers here, Colts 97.1 coming up on Sunday. A little crispier than maybe what we've had throughout the football season, but I think very fitting for playoff weather. Let's head to the Payless Liquors hotline right now from WTHR. Operation Football continues as we are in playoff season. The one, the only Dominic Miranda is with us. Dominic, good morning, sir.
Good morning. What a morning indeed. The crisp. It feels good outside. I got to tell you, I was begging for it, and now I'm like, oh, man, it's cold every single day now, isn't it? So love it. Not complaining about it. Fall weather, football, playoffs. Got a little basketball sprinkled in. Had to stay up for the Pacers last night. Had to. So great morning this morning. And we've named a Spirit Award champ. How about that?
All right. Well, get to that.
Should we set that up a little more? Should we drum roll it? Are you handing out hardware here? Do you want to? Is this team potentially playing tonight?
This team is playing tonight. It's actually our game of the week tonight. That was
okay.
That was a coincidence. That was not on purpose. But the Mooresville Pioneers are our Spirit Award champs. Operation Football 2025. Unbelievable energy. Those guys were awesome.
Spirit. Yes, we do. Spirit. How about you?
And didn't hate the crowd surfing. Didn't win it for them. Who's to say? But it was awesome. I mean, we presented the trophy on Tuesday. We aired it this morning. I'm gonna put it on social media here shortly. Great administration, great students. Seriously, so much fun. Mooresville Pioneers, Spirit Award champs, and they play Chatard tonight. So big matchup, tough matchup for sure. But we'll see if they can get it done.
Chatard is always a machine, I feel like, at this time of the year. But to your point about the cheers, KB, that reminded me of how great the cheers used to be at all the Gary basketball schools when I was there. They were the rudest cheers ever. You'd have a group of girls underneath the basket. A guy goes out there for the game-winning free throws, some free throws in the fourth quarter, and they're chanting, "I bet you shoot a brick. I bet you shoot a brick." Boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, oh, this is great. This is not nice at all.
I come from the class here. R-E-B-O-U-N-D, rebound. The basketball.
The fact that you can remember this and like all the school songs is crazy. But getting back to the point here, Dominic, what other games should we be locked into tonight, as we know it's do or die at this point in the season?
Yeah, a couple games we can't get to, and it's 1A through 4. There's only one 5A game, and that's Whiteland at Seymour. These games are super spread out. It was not easy making the schedule tonight for us. But that one we can't get to. Guerin Catholic plays Hamilton Heights. That's another one that's interesting that we can't get to. But as far as the ones that we are going to, outside of Chatard and Mooresville, which happy to be boots on ground in Pioneer Country, love it down there. I truly do. Trees are changing color, just welcoming as can be. They love 13 now because of the Spirit Award. I'm here for flattery gets you everywhere. That's what I say. But anyway, we got Roncalli and Northview ranked matchup. So I'm actually going to head to Northview for that one because I was very intrigued.
That's
was like
a haul.
It is a haul. That's what we do here, man. Yeah. That's what we do. We stop at nothing to get you the
from
highlights
Florida
of the
to
game.
Northview. You guys have been on it this year.
That's right. I think that's like one of, if not the only ranked matchup tonight. So wanted to get that on the tube. Pendleton Heights, Mount Vernon, Fortville, Indy Lutheran, Covenant Christian, Indy Addicts, who's 8-1, by the way, playing at Brebeuf. So excited to get them on the screen as well. Martinsville, Greenwood, and Newcastle at Greenfield Central. Just a great week to get some teams we haven't gotten a lot on TV, like Indy Lutheran. We've had them on the schedule and had to bump them multiple times just for scheduling purposes. Getting Addicts on the TV, very excited about that. So good week for the 1A through 4A schools, and just setting the table for sectionals, man. There's no better time of the year, in my opinion, than high school football playoffs here in the great state of Indiana.
Shout out to the Fighting Mackenzie Weisers. Mooresville, the Spirit winner for Operation Football WTHR here in 2025. Dominic, I know we're a week away, but I am absolutely struck by what New Pal has done this season. So I had to whip out the old calculator here. Their point differential this season, they have scored, if I have this correctly, 468 points and have allowed 38. 468 to 38 in 9 football games this season. Have you come across Kyle Ralph's bunch at all this year?
Yes, a lot actually. And I remember going. They were our game of the week, or they were in contention for game of the week when they played Pendleton Heights, who was ranked in Class 4A. And I was like, oh man, this might be a good game. Nope, wasn't. 42-6. They're averaging 52 points a game. They're only giving up 3.6. So to your point, if you weren't going to mention the point differential, I was going to. It is unlike anything I've ever seen. Kyle Ralph is 150-14 in his time at New Pal, with 4 state championships, including, and they already dipped into Class 5A and won 2 state back-to-back in 2018, 2019. So they're back in 5A and just dominating people. It is a shame to me that next week, unless something crazy happens, or excuse me, in 2 weeks from now, it's going to be New Pal and Cathedral for a sectional title, when that for sure should be the state championship in Class 5A. I don't know what that means. I don't know how we can change that. That's above my pay grade. But it just feels like that. Those are the 2 best teams in 5A, bar none, and would love to see that in the state championship rather than the sectional championship. But New Pal is a buzzsaw to proportions I have not seen in high school football. I mean, some of their scores, 71-0, 70-0, 65-3, 56-7. I mean, they haven't had a game close. Their only close game is Decatur Central. They won 28-6, and that's a 6A team who won state last year, oh, by the way. I don't know. If they don't win state, it'll be the biggest upset I've ever seen. So we'll see. Unbelievable out of New Pal this year.
I think they're doing the Lord's work, because it's always good to find out you're not an athlete early, okay? What they're doing is telling those kids, stay in school, keep your grades up so you can be successful.
That's right.
Outside of the game. The last thing I got for you, Dominic, I'll go the college route. I feel like, with the Colts, like you said, greatest upset ever. If they get beat by the Titans this weekend, that'll be certainly something that's pretty surprising. But college football, Notre Dame, are you all back? How do you feel?
I'm back. I'm fully back. And 10-2 is now the expectation rather than the hope, in my opinion. And we can, I have to tell my buddies, we got an Irish group message, okay? And I got to tell them, you can't look ahead. All you can control is 1-0. You can't control if there's 3 ACC teams with 1 loss or 4 SEC teams with 1 loss, and we're 10-2. You can't worry about that. Got to control what we got this week? The bye week. Win the bye week. 1-0.
Yeah.
1 week.
Win the bye week. Mm-hmm.
It was an awesome performance. Chris Ash fully back. 3 or 4 straight weeks now holding the team you're playing under their offensive scoring average. All right. In CJ Carr's worst game as starting quarterback, still won by 10, and you can argue should have won by 21 points. Very impressive out of the backfield, dominated them on the ground. Jeremiah Love, Heisman campaign back on. Best player in the country. I don't want to hear an argument. Unbelievable out of him. And, this defense, Christian Gray has played a Netflix documentary type situation season in 1 game. In both years, the USC game. So I don't know what to say about Christian Gray. But I'm fully back in on the Irish. Much needed bye week. Win the rest of your games. Let the chips fall where they may. We'll see what happens. But I'm fully back in. I don't know about you, Kevin, but I'm back in, man.
You ever get an invite to that group text?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get you in there. You probably have better insight than
No.
Northern Indiana boys.
I was going to keep things on the up and up, okay, boys?
Simply just happy to be associated. Dominic Miranda, WTHR. Shout out to the Pioneers of Mooresville. the
Yes.
Spirit Award winner here in 2025. Our combos with Dom will continue all throughout the playoff run tonight for the small schools, and we'll add everybody to the mix coming up next Friday. Mr. Miranda, safe travels out west tonight. We'll probably see you in the press box on Sunday.
Let's do it. See you guys. Have a great weekend.
These combos with Dominic brought to you by FAFSA. Filling the FAFSA helps your child access nearly $400 million in Indiana financial aid, including the 21st Century Scholarship. It also unlocks federal grants and scholarships for college or career training. Visit studentaid.gov or visit learnmoreindiana.org/FAFSA to get started. Don't wait. Secure your child's future today, as James Boyd just dunked on everyone's future that played New Pound football this year.
They're a machine every year. Sometimes it's better to learn. You know what? I learned this in high school. I'll never forget this. Ben Moore, who actually played for the Pacers, I believe, briefly, way back when.
Got Ben Moore, yeah.
Shout out Ben Moore.
Kind of a wing.
Played against him in high school. Bolingbrook High School is the rival high school. I don't know why they're rivals. We always get crushed by them. But nevertheless, catches the ball in high school, off the pick and roll, goes to the basket, goes up. And I'm there to take the charge. And I was thinking, oh, Lord. 1, I never take charges. 2, the one time I do, he's going to dunk on me. He laid it up. I wasn't posterized. No one has video of me getting destroyed. And I thought to myself, you know what? Time to hang it up. That's it. I'm not going to the NBA. This guy is going to the NBA. I am not near him. Always good to have honesty in your life.
Well, right now, the Pacers point guard situation, you might be as close as you'll ever be to the association.
I do have my Halliburtons now. I ain't busted them in yet.
That's the reality from where you're at. Again, I do think there's a lot to point to from last night of the grit, the guttiness, just staying in the game. Siakam and Mather and their shot making. How about Siakam and Mather as rebounders? I mean, they were huge for the Pacers on the glass. But to me, the dominant storyline from last night, unfortunately, is yet another point guard injury. Andrew Nembhard getting hurt. Left shoulder, and I didn't get the vibe post-game, James, and you were in that room. I didn't get the vibe that Rick Carlisle was overly optimistic on the injury status for Andrew Nembhard.
I thought he was going to say a little bit more at first, and then he kind of like reeled it back in, and we'll wait and see what the tests say, but certainly not a good situation. And then the way he described it afterwards was, this is going to present some big challenges, potentially. So, yeah, certainly not good vibes when it comes to just health right now for the Pacers, and we're talking about game 1 of 82.
So, again, just to kind of go over everything point guard-wise, and boy, I know I'm going to miss some stuff, so feel free to fill in the missing gaps here. Obviously, Halliburton, torn Achilles. I think next on the list of order of operations, if you will, TJ McConnell, hamstring injury in the preseason opener. He's out a month, and we'll see if it's more. What did Rick say to us on Tuesday? No McConnell updates till like November 9th or 10th, so he's going to miss 10-ish games. Quentin Jackson suffered a hamstring injury during the preseason. I think he would have been your backup point guard last night had he been healthy. So that covers, I think, everybody kind of in-house. Cam Jones, I guess, could have been in the mix, and he's got a back injury that is also kind of on the TJ McConnell timeline. So that, again, kind of covers everybody in a Pacers uni. And then they have gone outside of the building. It started with Monty Morris, who I don't believe passed a physical, or maybe there was some sort of medical clearance that one never fully went through. Remember DeLon Wright and that ugly stitches? I don't know if it was ever deemed a concussion. I think it was. He gets hurt in the preseason. He's gone and is tweeting, this business is sick. I believe in a negative reaction to it. And then Cameron Payne. Cameron Payne was a Pacer for what? A week? 10 days? And the Pacers didn't like what they saw, so they gave him the scissors. So right now you got 4 centers and 1 point guard.
I'm not going to lie. Giving him the scissors is quite the term to use. But.
Right there. Wasn't there a TV show where they did that?
Oh, gosh. I don't know what TV show this was. I was not watching.
I don't recall.
Google that. Scissors.
Scissors show.
And can you do the voice? That's me cutting. I don't know if it's my best cutting sound, but
no, it sounds like you're shearing some bushes or something.
I don't think it's hindsight's 2020. I was head scratching James when the Pacers kept 4 centers and 1 healthy point guard. And now I watched last night and I'm like, why did they keep 4 centers and 1 point guard?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care if Cameron Payne looked like Like, did you watch that offense when they tried to go to whatever they were going to?
I honestly
after
think it's
Nembhard?
an indictment on Cameron Payne, though.
Well, then find somebody else.
They will. They got.
Can Ray J. Dennis not give you 10 minutes? I mean, I felt bad for watching Ben Shepherd try to initiate the offense, or Jarris Walker, or Pascal Siakam bringing the ball up, or Talon Peter. Like, I mean, that was a rough watch offensively. Literally, the only reason the Pacers scored is because they won one-on-one ball, and Siakam and Mathurin were incredible. Again, 19 assists in regulation. For those unfamiliar with that number, that would have been the second fewest all season long.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was such a unique night because it did feel like a playoff atmosphere, so much animosity towards that team from the fan base, and you're in it. But I was like, it's so eerily similar to what you just felt. Not to that degree, but 4 months ago. You go into the game, you got a chance, you're giving it all you got, you lose your best guard, and then you try to get the other troops to kind of step up in his absence. You do it for a little bit, but you let the rope go right at the end, probably because you need a little bit more playmaking. And, I mean, you have Rick Carlisle saying, oh, we invented our offense in the second half during a timeout. We said, you know what? We'll just do a two-man game with Benedict Mathurin and Pascal Siakam. The rest of you get out the way. And if you aren't, setting a screen for those guys, crash the glass. I mean, it worked to a degree, but obviously not enough. And it's not something you can really rely on as a viable offense the rest of the way. I mean, Obi Toppin, again, to your point, Kevin, I think 39 minutes last night, he was their 5. Their only playable 5 really down the stretch.
One individual non-center, not point guard division, James, that I think you need more of, and I think it's fair to ask for more out of this guy. You got to have more from Aaron Nesmith.
Yeah, but you know what? The reason why I wasn't too worried, it's game 1.
And I don't know if I've ever really said that,
and
to be
the
honest
dude
with
shows
you.
up.
I know.
Most
Like,
of the
I don't
time.
want to, again, like, I feel like this is Monday after the Dolphins game, which, granted, Monday after the Dolphins game turned out to be how the Colts have been here through the first 7 weeks of the season. But, we are reacting to one night of 82. So,
but I did feel like that. I was like, man, where was he? But at the same time, we were just talking before the season started. Oh, he had one of the greatest playoff games in Pacers history. I trust that he'll show up.
But more is on everybody's plate. More is on the plate of Mathurin. More is on the plate of Siakam. More is on the plate of Nembhard. Like, we know that everybody has been asking now to do a little bit extra, given their state. And, again, it's a one game. Mathurin handled it beautifully. Siakam handled it beautifully. Nembhard, of course, exited early. You just want a little bit more from Nesmith. I did find it interesting that he started the game with Nembhard on Shea.
Yeah, I thought they're interesting as well.
And he got those 2 quick ones.
He did. He did.
Like, if Nembhard was healthy, would he start on Ja Morant coming up tomorrow night?
That's a good question.
I mean, it's just a lot
to
continue to throw there. So that's the state of the Pacers right now. Again, they are off on a 3-game road trip here at Memphis, at Minnesota. It's a back-to-back Saturday and Sunday. At Dallas Wednesday. Miles Turner return game a week from Monday.
By the way, one other thing that was funny after the game from Benedict Mathurin, I think it might have been Tony or Dustin, asked him about scoring 36 points and calling his number, and he was like, oh, I don't think about me. And I was thinking, brother, for big portions of that game, I was thinking, the hell with that Pacers basketball stuff. Go get a bucket. Because that was what was working. There were so many moments throughout that game where,
when he said, I don't think about me, did you think lightning was going to strike the press room?
Man, I was thinking, no, you got to be thinking about you and your contract and your salary. And I was thinking the stock, the little stock chart, it's going up.
Sure.
Benedict Mathurin after that game. But in all seriousness, I was thinking, no, you really can't play like you wanted to. There was a play where I want to say it was Mathurin or Nesmith. They were like going towards the sideline and they threw it straight out of bounds. It was like maybe the second half.
Yes, Nesmith.
Yes.
He didn't like the spacing. I think he was mad at Shepherd for his spacing.
And I was thinking those little things like that is what you're going to miss with Halliburton.
I mean, when you go back and you watch the third quarter especially, and again, I'm not blaming Ben Shepherd for this, but I want to make that abundantly clear, but watching him try to run point and watching the Pacers offense was just a brutal watch. I mean, there's no way around. And again, this is the sad reality in state with where they're at right now, considering their point guard position. So we'll see if any roster moves come today for the Pacers. Greg Rakestraw are going to join us here in 10. Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts, at 9. We'll get set for Week 8 in the NFL. James Boyd, Colts Titans on Sunday. More snaps for Riley Leonard or A.D. Mitchell?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to say A.D. Mitchell. Not for 80 catches, just for a few snaps out there. I did catch up with him. Check that out in the Athletic.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some audio from A.D. Mitchell a little bit later in the show here. But
you bet we will. You've been teasing it for 2 days. We got to get my man on the mic.
Well, hell, I didn't know that you'd have Rounders blended with the Mafia turned here by Chauncey Billups, and that
this is also fair.
Upend yesterday's show
In a 55-point game from the defending NBA champion in double overtime on game 1. So I get it. You're right.
Your officiating gripe from last night, on a scale of 1 to 10.
I'm probably at like a 6.
I'm not a big bitch and moan about the official guy.
But I'm also,
no.
this is why I don't hate what SGA does. Because one, if he did it for the Pacers, I'd be like, oh, well, that's great, right? But I think it's an indictment on the way the league is officiated. He is only exploiting the system that is being used to his advantage.
Letter of the law, he's taking full advantage of it.
Exactly. So if they didn't allow you to do that stuff, I wouldn't, feel the way I do now about it. Now, obviously, there's more like quote-unquote ethical ways to play, but hey, man, if your best player has basically gamed the system or tricked the system into getting fouls and drawing fouls and whatever, then more power to him for not legislating that out of the game. Because to me, it kind of feels like how Harden was at the peak of his powers, where you can't touch the guy or get in his airspace, get near him because he's going to, hook you, jump into you, stop, go. It's all the tricks of the trade.
I thought the one gripe was the timeout they gave to Dagnall late when they turned it over underneath the hoop. I know FanDuel, I don't know if ESPN did it. I
couldn't tell from where I was sitting. I was shocked they gave that to him.
Yeah, FanDuel really slowed it down. I mean, it was bang, bang. I thought it was a little after Chet threw the ball in there. That to me was kind of the gripe. I mean, if you want to compare free throws, I mean, Matherin got to the line. I think it was 4 less than SGA. If you take out the SGA, like charity stripe, you're just fouling him at the end to try and extend the game. So, it wasn't that big of a discrepancy if you want to look at the 2 stars. I think it ended with the Thunder shooting 10 more. Again, you take out probably a handful of those for the end of the game there. But you would safe to say Rick Carlisle wasn't too pleased. Mark, do you have that cut, Rick, on the officiating from last night? Rick Carlisle post-game wanted to make sure that the back pocket stayed a little bit full.
Well, were you given an explanation for your no timeout or the one that when Obi caught the steal, both of those plays at any point in the game?
I'm not talking about the refs. If I talk about the refs, I'll get fined an exorbitant amount of money.
I will say this. Of all the players and coaches I've ever covered, now that I am, I believe, 8 years into my career, no one makes me look up words more.
Could you spell that? I don't think I could.
No, I could not. Oh, Lord.
Exorbitant. No chance. Mark, could you?
No disrespect to rats.
No. I can spell rats. Is there a T in there? EX.
ORB? Like, are you absorbing? Or, God, man, I don't even know. I don't want to embarrass
Spell check
myself
for the
too
win.
much. Yeah, I just can't spell it, period. I think our next guest can. I believe valedictorian, if I'm not mistaken, down at Lanesville.
Oh, he probably totally could spell that word. Let's ask him, actually.
Have you found the scissors show, Mark? That's an easy Google.
Yeah.
Especially on a work computer.
Clearly, yeah. The scissors show.
I'm going to find it during the break. Greg Rakestraw is going to join us next.
Do the scissors cut again. Make the sound.
Rake, next.
Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I think I'm going to give the rose to you because you are an A. I guess you have all summer now to hang out. Let that be a lesson to you. That's how it is here in Hollyweird. You get cut out and you're out, never to come back.
There you go. The Scissors Show, a.k.a. the Andy Dick Show from the early 2000s of MTV.
You imagine, like, just joining the show right now and be like, what the hell are they doing? Nothing says Friday at 8 o'clock more than that.
Well, the fact that you watched the Andy Dick Show and that somehow resonated with you 20-something years later.
That is kind of crazy.
Who did I cut? Oh, the Pacers cut Cameron Payne.
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
The Andy Dick Show was very good. Kevin watching it and recalling it 2 decades later.
You've been snipped. I can just picture him doing it right now.
Sometimes I'm like, how do we get... It's like the seven degrees of separation. Like, how did we get to that topic from
I literally forgot during a 4-minute break here. But, I mean, I say it in all seriousness, James. They have to do something at point guard today. For those that missed the Pacer game last night, Andrew Nembhard left at halftime with a left shoulder injury. Rick Carlisle, I would think it's fair to say, was not overly optimistic after the game about it. So T.J. McConnell's going to miss at least a couple more weeks. Quentin Jackson, I don't know when his return is going to be. The Pacers need to do something, I think, in the point guard department in a hurry here. So, boy, that was you do have to commend the effort from last night. I mean, to hang in there and to punch back as many times as they did, that was damn impressive.
I feel like we're going to say that a lot this season for the Pacers, where it's like games that they just hang in every game, and they just give a good effort where you're like, they're never out of any game. I feel like we're going to say that a lot this year, where it's like they just kept fighting. They gave every team their best effort and everything like that.
I know, but man, and one thing I will say, and credit to them, and I think this has kind of been part of their MO since their revival, is like, we're not going to, even if we have valid excuses, we won't use them. And I respect that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They didn't have a point guard last night, and Rick Carlisle was like, okay, so we were like, we're going to make up an offense. And then Siakam's like, well, I could say the officiating, I could say we were banged up, but we got to defend better. We got to rebound. Like, and
yeah, they're not
that's
a
just
whining.
How they are.
Yeah, they're not a whining bunch by any means.
And it's not a backhanded thing where you're talking about both sides of your mouth. Like, no, they really. I think that defiance kind of defines who they are in a way.
And I'll be curious to see, like, into games now. You know, Mather and Siakam, it is different, but those are two extremely gifted one-on-one dudes in different ways. And their ability to just make tough shots. I mean, I know some of those shots they hit last night, you probably shook your head at, but, like, they do that.
Dude, Matherin had me looking at him like he was D. Wade last night.
I mean, he's one of the tougher at-the-rim basket makers. Yeah, I mean, there are, some poor man's D. Wade vibes.
And I loved how he was talking to Lou Dort.
And his ability.
Yeah, I grew up with you. Take that bucket in your face, brother.
Certainly zero cutting whatsoever, zero snipping from our next guest. He is the one, the only. He is Greg Rakestraw. He'll have a busy weekend, of course, as he'll get you set from a Sunday Colts post-game show host as the Pacers
are going to ask him the question?
Up in Minnesota.
Can you spell exorbitant?
Exorbitant?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes, I said it wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah. EXORBITANT. Exorbitant.
Is that right?
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
Rake, were you valedictorian at Lanesville?
I was, yes.
Gosh, that's awesome.
Rake, if I ever need a lifeline, what's that show?
Do you get anything?
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I'm calling Rake.
Do you get anything for that, Rake?
I think that and 50 cents gets you on the bus, I believe.
Like, I don't know. Is there a special tassel, something that is hung up in your household for that?
There is not. I think I made 3 appearances on stage at my high school graduation that lasted 40 minutes because there was 29 of us that graduated. So as the class president, I welcomed everybody to the graduation. I then got up and gave like a 6 or 7 minute speech, and then got my diploma. So I got my steps in that day.
He is Greg Rakestraw. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. It's a night for the smaller schools. That is how the playoff format works when it comes to football. And Greg Rakestraw, you don't actually, do you have a far drive tonight? I know you're playing a school that's very close to your home, but I don't know if the game's at Chittard or Mooresville.
They are the road team, so I'm off to Mooresville, which isn't exactly a far drive either. So Chittard and Mooresville is our game of the week. And as I talked about yesterday on Wish TV, we are so 6A centric in terms of the teams we cover in football and basketball. We can space it out, a little bit more with having more dates to work with. So this is kind of the 1 week of the year that I get to see teams that are 4A, 3A, et cetera. So we last had Mooresville on TV. There was kind of a quirky week, too, where like Alden Mick and Carmel was on the road. So we did Mooresville and Danville one time. It's the first time in 3 years I've been to Mooresville. I live a mile from Chittard High School, as do you. And in the 7 years we have been doing television on MyNDTV, this is the first time we've had the Chittard Trojans on in football.
You might be hearing from some people there. I won't drop any names on that because I could get in trouble for that. But Chittard faithful might be reaching out to you, Rake, for that. Do we have a Mr. Football favorite? Oh, boy. Maybe the Chittard people got to me.
They got to me immediately. There was like a 3-second pause as the entire Northside Catholic community, Pat Sullivan just snipped the phone lines. He heard you say cut and then no Chittard and bammo.
Yeah,
there
George
it would make the noise.
knocking on your door after that comment right there. If you misheard,
all the Dury family.
If you misheard, Rake, do we have a Mr. Football favorite?
I got mine.
It has to be Miles McLaughlin. Has to be.
Okay.
He is not going to be the highest level recruit of this senior class, but again, given the stratospheric numbers he has put up, and given the fact that likely he is going to pass what was thought to be an unbreakable record from Charlie Spiegel, pretty sure his name is already on the trophy.
That dude runs so much. I would honestly like to know what his recovery is like as a high school athlete. Like, is he getting the Epsom salt? Is he getting the ice, buckets around the ankles or something like that? Or is he just that tough?
Well, he runs a lot. I'm not sure many people hit him. So it's just kind of doing like distance work, seemingly.
And they played tonight, right, Rake?
Correct. So as a 3A team, they play tonight. And again, given the way the draw worked out, they have made at least the regional round each of the last 2 years. And so I think he is now in the vicinity of 700 yards away from breaking that record. So in theory, he could break it next week, given the clip he has been on. But you would assume that if it doesn't happen next week, likely it'd be in sectional championship week on November the 7th.
He's on the call tonight, Chittard and Mooresville. Again, for the most part, it's just 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A here as we get the sectional slate started. He is the one, the only Greg Rakestraw with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Rake, when I say to you, in a 5-month stretch, Lucas Oil Stadium will play host to the Indiana Hoosiers in the Big Ten Championship, the Indianapolis Colts in the AFC Championship, and the Purdue Boilermakers in the National Championship for basketball, you say what?
I say it's possible. I say it's absolutely possible. And amazingly, the thing that appears to be the biggest lock of those three would be the Indiana Hoosiers being in the Big Ten Championship game, which is just stupefying. So I hope you guys, and when one word gets used in a press conference, it tends to be repeated like 2 or 3 times. So, and Kevin, you may have been the person that introduced heater to Shane Steichen's press conference on Wednesday, because that's what Indiana sports are on right now. Now, it may not feel that way after last night, and basically James was the backup point guard for overtime number 3 for the Pacers last night. But the fact that they made to the final game of the NBA Finals, Game 7, Indiana's number 2 in the country. The Indianapolis Colts have the best record in the National Football League, and Purdue is the consensus number 1 team in the country for college hoops. That's insane to be on that level of a roll, and that's where we're at right now.
Like Chauncey Billups in the Hamptons.
Oh,
that is
Lord.
Indiana sports right now.
Too
soon
I
or
don't know
no?
about that now. Too soon. A little too soon, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys haven't liked any of my Billups jokes in the last 24 hours.
I mean, that's a scary situation to be in.
Go ahead and make the cut sound, Kevin. Go ahead and cut that out. Here's probably the way to go.
Rake, when you look at, I'll pivot a little bit to the Colts here. When you look at what the Colts have been doing from a point differential standpoint, and then you look at the Titans who are on the opposite end of the spectrum, what are you expecting Sundays? Is this going to be another Colts dominant game, or will we see something weird because the NFL is weird?
That's what's been crazy about this Colts schedule is that, you don't even blow out the teams that are the bad teams. And the Colts have been so consistent. The Dolphins are garbage. Colts throttled them. The Titans are garbage. The Colts spanked them. The Raiders stink. The Colts embarrassed them. And so the fact that we have now seen this 3 times tells you that it's not an anomaly, that the Colts are going to be ready to play. And I think part of it, too, is the Colts style translates so well. Daniel Jones is not doing the flashy. He's just doing everything so efficiently. Jonathan Taylor just grinds out yards. That offensive line wears you down. That skill set translates. And if you've also got a pass rush that's been getting close to getting home but not getting home, what normally helps that? Playing a rookie quarterback and playing a Tennessee team that is not good in the first place, but now is a beaten-up football team. I think all those elements combine for this to be, I hope, a bit of a snoozer on Sunday afternoon.
Rake, anything else on the slate besides Chittard Mooresville tonight and, of course, Colts postgame show duties on Sunday?
A couple of college soccers tomorrow. But frankly, as I've told people a lot this week, this is kind of the last slow week for me because it gets crazy next week. And then once I get to November, I'll see my kids in December, I think, at some point in time. November and May have turned into my 2 busiest months of the year, and my Google Calendar reflects that as of next weekend.
What is it, just college basketball picking up in November for you?
So it's a mixture of college basketball, high school basketball, and then we, as an ISC, produce a lot of conference championship stuff for Marion. We produce a lot of conference championship stuff for Horizon League. I tend to be on the call of those things. And so there's that Monon Bell game that pops up on November the 15th. There's a couple of high school state championships. Can I break some news on the show this morning?
Sure.
Do we have a breaking news sound, or does Kevin want to make the cut sound again?
Breaking news from 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
So I actually get to be on the television. Now it's streaming. But I will be on the television call of the Butler-Wright State game on Friday afternoon, November the 28th for ESPN+.
Hey, congrats, brother.
Some call that Black Friday. I call that a sunny announcement. Let's go.
Right.
So to give you an idea of what my month is going to be like, on both the 28th and 29th, I will call a college basketball game at 2 o'clock, and I'll go do a state championship football game at 7 o'clock. That's what my November is like, and I absolutely love it.
Let's go. Nothing defines Greg Rakestraw more than that. I'm seeing here 1 loss for DePaul, 1 loss for Wabash, per usual. Should be a great one here coming up in the 131st Monon Bell. He is Greg Rakestraw. He was the valedictorian at Lanesville, and he joins us pretty much every Friday at 8 o'clock. Rake, I will see you up in the press box.
See you, fellas.
The one, the only Greg Rakestraw right there, Payless Liquors Hotline. If I told you guys that, 5-month span, IU Big Ten football championship game at Lucas Oil, Colts AFC title game at Lucas Oil, Purdue national championship game at Lucas Oil. What do you say?
I say sign me up.
Yeah, that would sound.
Is it all
fun.
happening?
I mean, at this point, I'll believe anything if you tell me this year that we've had, brother.
Yeah,
I'm not doubting anything.
I would say I would believe anything at this point, considering how just the vibe for heading into the Colts season was and how they've played to this point. Nothing would surprise me.
You're most skeptical of which of the three?
Boy, I don't know. I feel like I keep thinking that like at some
That's
point
a good question.
the Colts good stretch is they're going to hit a rough patch at some point.
I'm drinking all the Kool-Aid on them, though, man.
But I don't know. I mean, they are padding that schedule right now with wins and on top of wins. So I don't know.
I mean,
I honestly don't know.
as wild as this would have sounded a few months ago, and maybe it wouldn't have, IU is like the slam dunk. Like, they have to fall on their face not to make the Big Ten championship game.
Which is an insane comment,
Right.
but it's true.
Right.
It's not even insane anymore. They're a machine.
I guess, but I would go Purdue, I guess.
Just because you got
injuries possibly.
Yeah.
Or like,
And it's hard. It's one and obviously one and done, and things like that.
I think the Patriots might have the easiest strength of schedule the rest of the way. If you want to look at an AFC standpoint, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, the AFC title going through Foxborough too. I mean, that would have been wild to imagine that. I did think watching last night's game, I was flipping back and forth a little bit during the commercial. I think I can figure out the AFC playoff teams right now. AFC West is going to send 3, and AFC East will send 2. You guys agree with that?
Run that by me one more time.
AFC West will send 3, AFC East will send 2. New England, Buffalo, and then the West will send us Chargers, Broncos, and Chiefs. And those are our playoff teams.
I could probably see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't see a second team out of the South, and I don't see a second team out of the AFC North.
No, and I don't really trust the Jaguars as much as I trust the Colts. And it's not like a homer take or anything. I just think that what the Colts have done has been more sustainable. The Chargers were having the Jaguars had a bunch of games with turnovers, and I feel like turnovers are harder to predict or replicate than the number one offense in the NFL.
I also don't think the Texans are turning it on at any point. Like, I keep waiting for them to kind of, oh, they can't be this bad, but I don't know. I think the Colts are kind of,
Yeah, to Mark's point, each week you're gaining, it seems like a half game or a game on them. You're not losing. I mean, this one, as they always say, counts as 2 because it's a division game, but, you go out there and smack the Titans, you're already in the driver's seat, but now you're stepping on the gas.
We'll talk much more about Colts and Titans and a busy weekend here, and we'll get you set a little bit for that right now as we check it down.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, it was a hell of a night inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Entertaining as usual for the Indiana Pacers. New Year, same grit and guttiness. Unfortunately, it did not end in a win, though. Double overtime, Thunder 141, Pacers 135. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. James, you said that was a career high 55 for him?
Yes, 3 shy of the OKC single game record held by Russell Westbrook with 58.
Mathurin had 36. That's the second most for a Pacer on opening night in franchise history. Pascal Siakam, 32. Obi, 20 off the bench. Ben Shepherd, 15. Jarris Walker, 13. Any of the bench guys stand out? Walker had a couple of very important and difficult baskets late.
Yeah, I liked what Jarris Walker did last night. A couple of moments I was like, a little too much Jarris offensively, but I thought he gave you some variety in shot making, variety in defensive playmaking, and also distributed to a few of his teammates.
The biggest storyline of the night, sadly, is once again another point guard injury. Andrew Nembhard leaves with a left shoulder injury. Rick Carlisle did not sound overly optimistic about it after the game, and the Pacers are about ready to head out on a 3-game road trip. So that will be the news item to keep an eye on, and the center rotation was awful.
That's one way to put it. Putting it nicely. They had more fouls than points or rebounds.
8 minutes for Isaiah Jackson, 4 fouls. If you made me pick one I'd like to see a little more of, I guess it would be Jay Huff right now, but I did find it odd there in overtime. At one point, the Pacers pretty much rolled with Obi Toppin for the final 25 minutes of the game.
You called that early, though.
Did you see the Thunder actually, they transitioned down to the Pacers?
Yeah.
They took Chet off the floor at one point there, which I found interesting there. So, again, questions certainly about that. Shout out to Jason Hammer. He hit us with the Benedict Mathurin first three-pointer bet of plus 295, and that definitely hit last night. All right, Colts injury report on this Friday. James, I'm not overly intrigued by really anything. Josh Downs seems to be good to go. Ashton Dulin seems to be good to go. Kenny Moore was a full participant yesterday at practice. The defensive ends look like they're going to be iffy. And very iffy, I should say. Samson Evacom and Taekwon Lewis, as they haven't practiced yet this week. Maybe Taekwon gives it a go today. And I still think we're probably one more week from Jalen Jones. He was limited again yesterday.
Yeah, and I think that's the wise decision. Don't rush him back, especially when you know I don't want to say he rushed back the first time, but he was itching to get back, re-injures the hamstring. So take your time. The Titans, like I said, are not very good. So you should be able to handle business without him. And I think you want to try to get him back on the field against Pittsburgh.
Last night, Thursday Night Football, the Chargers all over the Vikings. Carson Wentz looked hurt and looked bad as the Chargers whooped up on Minnesota. We've got Game 1 of the World Series tonight. Blake Snell on the mound for the Dodgers, and really a hell of a story for the Blue Jays. Trey Yesavage, he has worked his way all the way up from single A to the majors in one season. He was pitching for East Carolina. I always loved East Carolina's football uniforms. Shout out to Sam Story, diehard East Carolina fan. I believe it's his birthday today. The Pirates, correct?
Yes.
Sure.
I'm actually sure of that. I think Mark just said sure just so you can be quiet.
Yeah. No, I'm recalling the East Carolina was the football coach. We need a bunch of dogs.
No, that was a Coastal Carolina guy.
That's
yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's such a funny reference. But yeah.
Cats and dogs. It was raining in that press conference. That was a great one.
Oh, man.
Got too many cats. Need more dogs.
That reminds me of a rant my uncle did. This man, diehard Bears fan, got so mad at them one time. He's like, you know, we got a bunch of cats lining up at the line of scrimmage. They go up there like meow, meow. They gotta get up there and stand and fight. Be a dog. And so
I think the Coastal Carolina guy must have got it from your uncle then.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly wish you all could see the theatrics that happen when a Bears game is on. That's how I know true fandom still exists.
Can you live stream him?
Can we get him and Mark Dykton together? Maybe watch him.
Honestly,
one
I feel like
I would love it. Actually,
I feel like him and Mark would just be kindred spirit, riding the wave of the emotions.
Week 1 of sectionals upon us. Whiteland Seymour 5A, but it's a night for the smaller games, smaller schools. Monrovia, Cecina, Heritage, Ritter. We mentioned Roncalli at Northview earlier. Addicks, Burbuff. Again, we don't have a ton of local action. Chittard, Mooresville. That's where Greg Rakestraw will be. We'll get full 5A and then 6A started next week. College football tomorrow. It's noon for both Indiana and Purdue and Bloomington. A big old favorite, 24-25 for the Hoosiers. As a big noon kickoff is there. We'll see about the availability of UCLA quarterback Nico, and good luck spelling that last name as well. And Purdue tries to get their first Big Ten win. We'll see about the starting quarterback for Purdue as Ryan Brown got hurt in that loss to Northwestern, shutout loss. Something's got to give. Rutgers and Purdue both winless in the Big Ten. Again, the Boilers down in Rupp Arena tonight against Kentucky. Matt Painter, it makes a whole lot of sense to me. He says when you play a marquee road game early in the season, you might as well throw a little road game action on the exhibition slate. So they've done it now 3 straight years. Creighton and Arkansas. They actually lost to Creighton and Arkansas, but I think it does prepare you pretty well. Indiana, Darren DeVries and company will be inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse Sunday afternoon. That's 1 o'clock, taking on Baylor. One takeaway from each of you on yesterday's gambling news. It can be Rozier, it can be Chauncey Billups. What stood out to you the most?
That I can't tell what's real and what's the onion anymore in news, I think.
Now, is Billups involved in both?
That's what I to be fair, I haven't had a chance to read like a full
right.
report. I was kind of reading bits and pieces yesterday as I was working. But from what I understand, it's all sort of interconnected in a way.
Especially Billups, it sounds like.
Right. It sounds like he might be actually in more trouble than Rozier.
And I guess to clarify a little bit, it sounded like potentially he was providing some intel to others on when his team specifically would be tanking, would be sitting guys, et cetera, to go along with the underground poker game that had special glasses he was wearing, and now I feel like James and Mark are both wearing them on this Friday morning, and it's making me nervous.
I told you mine are only meant for X-ray vision.
Doctored
Let me
cards,
get a good look at you.
Cameras underneath the table.
Yeah, the video, like I saw a video where it was like, these are the glasses they were wearing, and I'm like, is that real? Like what I was watching, because that's crazy. There's like marked cards with secret messages on them and all that stuff. I'm like, this is insane.
And all that to basically get you to play, lose, and then have to pay a crazy amount of money. So that I can agree with Mark. For me, it's Terry Rozier, and again, it's all allegedly, but like telling a bunch of his friends and family, I guess, to bet the under on one of his performances, and them bringing the money to his house. They said they brought like $200,000 to his house the day or the night of that tank game that he had. And I'm thinking to myself, what the heck are you guys thinking? I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to bring all the evidence back to you.
That's like Merriam-Webster definition of stupidity.
Also, the montages of Terry Rozier, just like you can't even. There is no way you can deny it.
It's funny, man.
You're just chucking shots up or throwing it to the other team like on purpose.
Yeah. So it's fascinating. I mean, I had my dad calling me about this, and usually we're talking about, hey, we got Thursday Night Football, and he's like, you see what Chauncey Billups did? Oh my goodness, blah blah. These suckers is stupid. And
Can you give me your dad's number? He might like the Colts are on a heater like Chauncey Billups in the Hamptons.
You know what? My dad is a harsh grader, so he has no sympathy when it comes to rich people doing dumb things. So
I love how the four cities mentioned or the four places were the Hamptons, Miami, Vegas, and Manhattan. I was really hoping you'd get Leesburg, Indiana, or like
Roanoke, Virginia,
Hope, Indiana, just some underground barn somewhere that they
Santa
were playing
Claus, Indiana.
These games. All right, we'll get you set for Week 8.
Gambling with Santa.
Favorite games we're keeping an eye on. We'll give some Colts Titans picks as well. It is the Fan Morning Show on a Friday. Thanks for spending it with us.
You need to be more like a dog. We don't need a bunch of cats in here. Looking in the mirror. Do I look good? I got my extra bands on. I got my other shoes on. Be a dog. We don't need no meows. We don't need no cats. We need more dogs.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Do you guys ever do big noon kickoff over College game day, like on a Saturday morning, or are you pretty religious to the ESPN?
I'm not going to lie. I think Pat McAfee is kind of giving me like a new life with that, honestly. He's fun.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing that he does.
So you obviously
media.
stick with game day. Yeah, I have not been. I think last year maybe Indiana was the big noon kickoff once, and I think I flipped over to it like at some point in the 11 o'clock hour, but I've never really gone over there.
Given the way the emails went unanswered this week, I'm more of a College game day.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe a middle finger to Fox?
A little bit. No, but for real, no. College game day is always, I mean, I've been watching it for so long, it's kind of, old hat at this point.
Again, big noon kickoff down there in Bloomington coming up tomorrow. IU will get UCLA. That is noon here. It's 9 a.m. for the Bruins out there. I know they've been better since they've fired Deshaun Foster, but certainly Vegas doesn't really think that way, as it is a big old spread here in Memorial Stadium, I should say. 24, 25 points for that one. Mark, let's go ahead and do Fast Fingers, little Friday giveaway here. 4-pack of tickets to Butler, Indiana State. That is next Wednesday inside of Hinkle Fieldhouse, their final exhibition games. The Dogs and the Sycamores playing there. 4-pack of tickets, we'll give that away. Fast Fingers, 317.
Call, not text.
Call, yes. 317-239-1070. So give us a call. We'll give away a 4-pack of tickets to that. James, I know you had a conversation with A.D. Mitchell earlier this week, and you found that to be pretty enlightening.
Absolutely. He is a fascinating person, and I don't mean that as a joke. I know people have been hard on him. We have been critical of him. I mean, I've even theorized, do you trade the guy? But talking to him, man, I'm just like, I can see why people still love you, because he owned everything. We're talking to him about, the benching, the gaff in LA, not being focused enough. Will you play again? Like, he was vulnerable, candid, funny about all of it. And so, yeah, that was one of the better interviews I've had all year, regardless if it's a positive topic, negative topic. I mean, the dude just stood there for 10 minutes in the locker room the other day and basically spilled his guts about the lowest point of his career.
Now we're back to what looks to be a healthy wideout group. Josh Downs was a full participant yesterday. It looks like he is making it through concussion protocols as long as today goes well. Ashton Doolin should also be back after missing last week with a chest injury. So I don't know what that means for A.D. Mitchell. On paper, it doesn't mean anything good for him. So I'll be interested. That's a little bit of a storyline. Like, I was serious earlier when I said to you, who gets more snaps on Sunday, Riley Leonard or A.D. Mitchell? Now, part of me thinks if Riley Leonard's in the game, that means it's a blowout, and that means A.D. Mitchell also gets in. But I asked that question because is A.D. Mitchell definitely going to be active?
Yeah, I lean towards Riley Leonard in that regard.
Because if A.D. Mitchell ain't active, then any snap for Riley Leonard will be more than A.D. Mitchell there. But I expect it to be a rout, so I expect Riley Leonard to get in the game.
And honestly, talking to him, that was one of the things that he opened up about. He was like, it is kind of scary because you don't know if you're going to get that opportunity again.
Didn't he say that very quote to you? Like, I don't know when I'm going to play my next snap?
Yeah, he literally said that. So, yeah, let's go to the audio line here from A.D. Mitchell, and here is his reaction, or really just him sort of detailing what it's like to go through what he's going through and not know when that next chance might come. That's as blunt as he can put it. And he said that multiple times, multiple different ways.
And the bleep was, I don't know when I'm going to get that bread again, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And on top of that, KB, talking to him, it wasn't a woe is me. Let's make that very clear. It was, no, this is me. Because at one point, and this is why I know AD's a pretty real dude, it's just, can you get a little more focused? Because I feel like most athletes or even people in your life, ourselves, we wouldn't probably answer this question, but he said, hey, this is the most adversity I've been through in my career, or life rather. And I said, okay, well, does it affect you differently when you know the adversity is self-inflicted? And this is what he told me. And I'll read it to you because I put it in one of my stories. And he said, I know people want to ask me, like, do I still look back at that? Do I still think it's my fault? Hell yeah, I do. There ain't a moment when I don't think about it. And so it kind of lets you know. Now, he did say, hey, I'm back as far as like the confidence, energy, and not really having like that cloud over his head. But he said, yeah, no, I think about it all the time.
You know, Matt reaches out here. He goes, I think the 80 punishment's gone too far. Made a mistake. He gets it. Blah, blah, blah. I would agree with that. Like, I don't think the need is to punish him now for a full-on month. The question has become, did you realize as a coaching staff you'd rather have Ashton Dulin over A.D. Mitchell? Like, you could be done punishing him, but then when you sit there in a coach's meeting room and you say offensively, hey, guys, who would you rather have out there, Dulin or Mitchell?
Dude, A.D.
How'd
Mitchell.
they just come to the conclusion that they'd rather have Dulin?
Which is a real possibility.
Right. And I think we'll find out. Again, I think Sunday will be,
absolutely.
now that everyone's back healthy, it's been a month, et cetera, et cetera. He did play one gunner rep on special teams last week. I don't expect that to be a full-time role.
I think he had 2, actually.
Did he have 2?
Yeah, he had 2.
I don't expect that to be a full-time role for him, but just something to keep an eye on. All right, coming up on the other side, we'll continue to recap last night inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse, get you set for Week 8 in the NFL. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton on a Friday.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Get you set here for our easiest, hardest, most entertaining games of Week 8. James, most encouraging sign last night from what you saw out of the Pacers was what?
Man, probably just what I saw from Jarris Walker and Benedict Mathurin. Those are two guys you're looking at to take the next leap or step in a year where they're going to get more opportunities without Halliburton in the lineup. And I like what I saw from both of them, honestly.
Yeah, they both, shot-making wise, both were huge late. I know the stats won't indicate it, but I would like to see more Talon Peter. I have a little intrigue there.
I think he's got to be more decisive, which I say that about several rookies. But I thought early on he was a little hesitant, a little timid. And I thought as the game went on, and credit to him, because first game, bright lights, whatever, it seemed like he got more comfortable as the minutes went by, because I thought one of the best sequences of the game, besides when we got to the overtimes, of course, was that steal he got. He pokes the ball away, third quarter, I believe, pokes the ball away. Obi Toppin runs it down. Talon Peter relocates to the corner, catch and shoot, 3-ball, crowd goes crazy. That to me felt like a Pacers play by a guy who is, trying to get to a level where he can play their brand of basketball.
And that man started 2 games last year at Liberty. Like, he was a bench player for Liberty.
I know.
And now you're asking him to play on opening night of an NBA game against the defending champs? Like, yes, more decisive, certainly. I understand a little bit of the hesitancy that he had, but he's much more than just some standstill three-point shooter, which I kind of pegged him.
But you know what was crazy? I thought he was a little indecisive about shooting the ball.
Right, which again,
and I'm like, yeah, I get it, but I'm like, I would imagine, and I get, yeah, it's tough, but I would imagine Rick Carlisle and Jenny Busek and Lloyd Pierce were like, hey, brother, we get all the other stuff you can do. Shoot that thing.
Sure. Easier said than done, I think. I don't think he's got the reputation of necessarily a Ben Mathurin type gunner or somebody along those lines. All right, let's get you set here for Week 8 in the NFL. Mark Dykman, where should we begin?
Let's do most exciting. Wherever we want to start there. Most exciting of the Week 8 slate. Not a very good slate, by the way.
I don't think it's a good slate at all. Mark, I'll show some favoritism towards you. If Lamar Jackson's playing, I'll go your game.
Oh, okay.
I'll go Ravens-Bears. Are the Bears somewhat interesting with 4 in a row? Are the Ravens dead officially? Is Lamar Jackson going to play? I'm struggling for entertainment value in Week 8. I'm not going to lie, but I'll go with your game.
I got one for you.
Lamar Jackson's been limited all week in practice. The Bears are the only team in the NFL that have scored at least 21 points in every game this season, and the Ravens are 1-5 with their backs against the wall. So if Lamar doesn't play, oh boy.
Would it be Snoop Huntley over Cooper Rush?
I believe so.
I'm going to go Giants-Eagles, because I believe, didn't the Giants beat the Eagles earlier this year?
They're already playing again.
Yes. So I need that. Cam Scadaboo, Jackson Dart, they're both ridiculous individuals, but they're playing pretty good football. And they spoiled the party last time against Saquon. So can they do it again?
Not only are they playing again, they're playing for the second time in 3 weeks.
That is kind of crazy.
Yeah, that was one of our Thursday night upsets. Chargers all over the Vikings, if you missed it last night.
Most exciting, again, only 2 games this Sunday feature both teams with winning records, so it's a rough slate. But looking forward to the most is Cowboys-Broncos. You want to talk about 2 teams that swing wildly in different directions, game to game, sometimes quarter to quarter. It's these 2 teams. Bo Nix and the Broncos looked dead last week against the Giants until that insane fourth quarter, and the Cowboys are doing Cowboys things where they're just inconsistent. But I'm intrigued by Cowboys-Broncos in Denver.
And that's one of the other 4 o'clock games outside of Colts and Titans. Okay, hardest game to pick. I'm going to go with Houston hosting San Francisco. The Texans, on a short week, traveling back from Seattle, they are a 2.5-point favorite. At some point, all these 49er injuries have to catch up to them. You would think, but then again, I'm like, do I trust the Texans on a short week? Getting points or having to cover 2.5, I can go back and forth on that all day long. So that for me is one of the harder games to pick. 49ers at 5-2, Texans 2-4, Houston favored by 2.5.
I think Packers Steelers. I'm surprised we didn't choose one of these as far as our most intriguing game. I think that one is a hard one. 2.5-point favorites for the Packers. Anytime the line's that close, I'm just like, I don't know. They're on the road as well, so that's something to consider. So I think that's the one that gives me the most like.
Mark Dykton wants a meteor to hit the stadium.
It's the hardest game for me because I have to root for, I think, Aaron Rodgers to beat the Packers, which is gross to think about. That's why it's hard for me. My hardest, actually, though, is Bears-Ravens because the Bears are 6.5-point underdogs on the road to the 1-5 Ravens. Baltimore season's on its last legs. Lamar has been limited all week, like we just said. So that spread is kind of insane when you're looking at it.
That line has to be with Lamar in the line.
Yes. So that's why, honestly, if you are thinking Lamar Jackson, who's been limited all week, is not going to play, I would jump all over that 6.5 because if they get word that he's not playing, that line is going to shrink drastically. So if you can hop on Bears 6.5, I would take that. But if he does play, I just don't know what we're going to get because Lamar is he 100%? Probably not. And the Ravens need to get a win because otherwise they fall to 1-6, and you really can only play with like one more loss the rest of the season to have any shot of making the playoffs and turning their season around. So that's why it's hard for me. I would like to trust the Bears, but I also know that the Ravens have their backs against the wall. So I honestly don't know which way to go with that game. But if you can get Bears at 6.5, go ahead and get it.
All these lines scare me. And like the 1 o'clock window is full of touchdown favorites. Full of them. So if you feel any good feeling about the underdog, definitely ride that. Gosh, I don't even know if I feel confident in saying it. I think the easiest game, I'm going to take the Steelers at home getting points. I think that's a bounce back for them after the Thursday night game. Packers on the road. The Packers have kind of flirted with that 4-1-1 start. So I'm struggling with confidence about really anything, maybe in my life, but definitely here with these Week 8 picks. So I will go Steelers getting points at home, 2.5.
I will co-sign on that because that was mine as well because you don't think Aaron Rodgers wants to stick it to the Packers on national television.
Yeah, that's a good point. That makes me feel a little better.
Yeah,
and he actually kind of looks decent again.
Yeah. DK Metcalf has helped. But yeah, I would think that Steelers defense also has been given an agenda by Aaron Rodgers. Like, get Jordan Love. Get him a lot.
This is my easiest game, right?
Yes.
Bengals, Jets.
Oh. You trust the Bengals or are you trusting the Jets?
I very much trust the Jets to do what the Jets do. Stink it up.
Now
And
that's one of those touchdown ones, right? Isn't it like right around 7?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you are trusting the Bengals to cover, I guess, 6.5 officially.
Yes, I am, because I know Joe Flacco is going to throw that thing to a lot of different, receivers, and I think
you don't think Woody Johnson's comments inspired Justin Fields?
Oh my goodness, could you imagine being Justin Fields? I would have told him, Woody Johnson, you paying me $30 million guaranteed, brother. I'm finna go out there and throw the ball in the dirt next time you see me, and the check better be there on Tuesday.
Yeah, but you can talk all the junk you want. On my bank account is looking healthy. Right now.
And shout out to Justin Fields. I get it. You're a Christian. You believe in God. He's like, my faith comes from the Lord. Boy, my faith would be reinvigorated in Jesus Christ as soon as I saw my contract and my money. Nothing makes me feel more inclined to believe in God when I get paid.
Smite all these haters.
Just to remind everybody after that sermon, it is the largest bye week in the NFL. So fantasy football lineups probably should have been set last night, and hope you didn't play Justin Herbert or that Vidal guy either. But 6 teams on a bye, so you could be scrambling a little bit with your fantasy lineups coming up this weekend. We close out the week every week during football season with the voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor. It's 9 o'clock on a Friday. He joins us next.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Final hour of the week. Thank you for spending it with us. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton. Jeff will be back on Monday. Just a reminder, Sunday on our airwaves, and it certainly impacts our next guest, the voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor. You will hear him on 97.1 Hank FM. So the Colts will be on that for the 4:25 kickoff. Ride to kickoff will be right here on the Fan. JMV and company getting things started about 12:30. And then with the Pacers in Minnesota, the Pacer game will stay on the Fan. But you will have the Colts game over on 97.1 Hank FM. To talk more about it all, it is Fridays with the voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor. Mate, good Friday morning to you, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen. How we doing today?
We are swell. It's probably more of an MLB play-by-play question than most, but hell, you've had to work your way through a couple fourth quarters like this season. Do you have blowout content?
Yeah, you do. I mean, you approach it differently. You turn it more into a big picture talk show. You know, like what does this win mean, or what is, you frame it into the context of, how well are we playing? Is this transferable? What does the immediate future of the season look like? You preview next week's game, so you're not as intensely breaking down every single movement of a play. You're not breaking down the upcoming down and distance. You're talking to your analysts more like a talk show, kind of like what you guys do, while also staying within the framework of the game. Absolutely. But it's kind of like, the fourth quarter of that last preseason game. You know what I mean? You turn it into a talk show, you make a conversation, you talk about, how well guys are playing and how transferable things are for the regular season. So yeah, absolutely. There's a difference between, how you handle play-by-play in the fourth quarter in the final 4 minutes when it's a one-score game versus if it's a fourth quarter blowout. There's no question about it. The dynamic certainly changes.
I don't know if I've ever asked you this, but do you have any, and I guess take the NFL, take the Super Bowl out of it, I don't know, maybe even take the Indy 500 out of it. Do you have a bucket list sporting event that you would love to call?
I don't per se. I mean, I'm very, very happy, and I enjoy what I do. I really do. I mean, I think the NFL is just, obviously it's the 800-pound gorilla, and it's the biggest thing going. So I'm incredibly blessed to be, where I'm at and doing what I'm doing. But I would love to, do some more. I guess, if I do have to select one. Would love to, do some more March Madness stuff. I just think the pageantry of March Madness and the one and done, concept and Cinderella, just to be part of storylines like that would be.
And you
really,
did some
really
conference
cool.
tournament, right? You and Tom Crean was Ohio Valley, maybe?
Yeah, did a couple of games. Yeah, did a couple of games in March Madness last year. So I mean, that was just incredibly cool, and just to see the guys, from the smaller schools when they, punch their ticket to the, the big dance, the NCAA tournament. I mean, it really is, it's dream come true, not only for the players, but for the coaches too. They understand, the magnitude of winning those tournaments and elevating the profile of their head coaching, personalities and the profiles of their schools and the program. I mean, we had SIU Edwardsville last year, and their coach was, I think he was like the video assistant or quality control guy under Tom Crean, in his first year as at IU. So they were very, very close. And so they had a huge embrace at the end of that game. And you could just see it on their face. You could just see it in their body language, like how life-changing making the NCAA tournament is for those guys at that level.
That is the voice of Matt Taylor, who is also the voice of the Colts. And Mayte, I thought you were going to say for your, event, me and JV hooping at, Center Grove or something. I would love to hear your commentary on my bricks and smoke the layups at 8:30 in the morning on a Sunday.
By the way,
James Boyd with a step back, it's off again.
Your JMV impression that we heard earlier, I think it was earlier this week. Oh, excellent. Just so good. Does he like it?
I think so. I mean, he's always been a good sport about it. And, producing that show for a couple of years like I did, you got a front row seats, all the
of the JMV isms, if you will. It's like his own little language, with the Southern Indiana drawl and the Greene County stuff. And he's an easy guy to imitate, which means he's doing his job really, really well. And I think that's the point is, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. And so he always took it with, good spirits, and he knows how I feel about him. So, that's always in the arsenal. It's always part of the repertoire.
Before we transition to Taylor's tidbits, could we get 20 seconds of JMV out of Friday at, I don't know where he's at, the Ale Emporium, something like that?
Listen here, I don't know how you guys do it in the morning. I mean, you get up at 6 a.m. and you talk about this absolute clown show here, the FUBAR that was in this case, not anymore any longer here with the Colts rolling, the Pacers, NBA Finals representatives, Indiana University football absolutely taking names down in Bloomington under Kurt Signetti. But it used to be absolute FUBAR around here, kind of a clown show, a lot of losing mentality. No longer the case. Now you can follow my voice to the savings at Meijer, the official super center of the Ride with JMV. They've got you covered with Pacers, Colts, Cardinals, who I don't represent, but the Reds, the Cubs, whatever you're into, White Sox even, I will give you the savings at Meijer, the official supercenter of the Ride with JMV. We're back in a minute.
That is excellent.
Oh, beautiful.
You're an artist.
Beautiful as always. All right, Mark.
Listen, fellas, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Now you got me rolling, all right? You wound me up, and now I just can't stop. This bad boy, where do you want to start here? 3 to 6. Hagen's going to stop by. He doesn't work on Fridays. I got the girls from Wish TV, from WTHR. It is going to be fan-stinking-tastic.
It sounds just like him.
Oh, my gosh. That literally, you just said 307 to 309. Today for John Michael Vincent. That's the voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor. It's a Friday. He's with us. You know what that means. Taylor tidbits.
Let's dive into the nitty-gritty.
I never knew that.
Grab a seat and take notes.
As if.
There's storylines all over the upcoming game.
You serious, Clark?
Say what?
It's time for Taylor's Tidbits.
All right, I got 4. I'll go quick. All right, the first one's rapid fire. Let's talk about the postseason chances here for the Colts. All right, it's never too early to talk about getting a home playoff game and what this season could be. I think it's time to kind of recalibrate after a 6-1 start, just how special of a season this could be here for the Colts. All right, since 1990, 6-1 teams make the playoffs 88% of the time. 7-1 teams make the postseason 96.5% of the time. All right, so let's keep this train rolling on Sunday because the analytics say, hey, you're 7-1. It's pretty close to a darn sure thing you're going to make the postseason. We'll see if the Colts can get it done. All right, let's talk red zone for the Colts. They've jumped all the way up to 8th in the NFL so far in the red zone, thanks in part to scoring touchdowns on 14 of their last 15 red zone trips. Remember when people were griping about the red zone? Like that was the one thing in the first 3 games.
That was Kevin Bowen.
Yeah, hand raised over here.
Yeah, like that was the one thing people were like, okay, this is a good offense. They're scoring a lot of points, but man, they'd be so much better inside the red zone. And case in point, right, in the first 3 games of the season, they were 7 for 16 in weeks 1 through 3. That was 43%, which ranked 26th in the NFL. In just a month's time, they went from 26 to 8th. And they're even better in goal-to-go situations, right? Dating back to last year, the Colts have scored a touchdown on each of their last 26 goal-to-go drives. Again, they are 26 for their last 26 goal-to-go drives scoring touchdowns. That's the second longest streak this century. The record is 29 straight by the 2022 Arizona Cardinals. All right, and I love this guy because he's coming off the bench, being brought up off the practice squad, and he's delivering. All right, he's been off the practice squad 3 straight weeks. Now he's on the active roster. He's the primary running back behind Jonathan Taylor. I'm talking about Amir Abdullah in year number 11. Last week, an 81-yard kickoff return to set up the Colts' first touchdown in the second half. He's the NFL's active leader in kickoff returns and kickoff return yardage. But he's a lot more than just a football player. I don't know if you guys saw this, but he's a football, or I should say he's a movie buff. He loves the art form of cinema. In fact, he's appeared in a lot of movies. He's appeared in a movie called Hell on the Border in 2019. He's appeared in a movie called Monstrous in 2022, another flick called Hide and Bleed in 2021. He's also appeared in the film called Break the Cycle, and that's got some high-profile stuff in it, man. Some actors in that movie. You got guys like Cuba Gooding Jr. and Vivica A. Fox. He's also produced a short film called Joshua Tree. So he's a really good conversation inside that Colts locker room, and he's a well-rounded guy. He's got a lot of culture, got a lot of cinema, and he loves the arts as well. So Amir Abdullah, tip of the cap, man. You're an interesting cat. All right, last one is the Tennessee Titans have fallen on tough times. They've started 1-6 in back-to-back seasons. First time they've started 1-6 or worse in consecutive years for the first time since 1982 to 1984. And obviously they weren't the Tennessee Titans back then. That's the Houston Oilers. But it wasn't that long ago where the Titans were like the team to beat. They used to give the Colts a ton of fits. They were the top seed in the AFC in 2021. But since then, fellas, they are combined 17-41. They've got the fewest wins in the NFL in that span. And Tennessee is one of two teams this year, along with the surprisingly inefficient Philadelphia Eagles, who are still 5-2. But the Titans and Eagles, one of two teams this year to be outgained in every single game this year. And dating back to last year, the Titans have allowed more touchdowns than they have scored in 13 straight games. So they got a rookie quarterback. They fired their head coach. And obviously a lot of people are picking the Colts to win this game on Sunday, but you still got to go out and play, and we'll see how it goes this weekend at 425.
Boy, that Amir Abdullah stuff, I had no idea. That was fascinating. I'm looking up here. He's the youngest of 9 kids, and he was signed to the 53-man roster over the weekend. So when they put
Right.
Travarius Ward on injured reserve, they brought him up, so he'll be up there, I guess, for the foreseeable future. That red zone stat and the goal to go, Matt, I mean, that thing is just insane how efficient they've been. And the fact that they stopped their own red zone streak themselves by kicking the field goal at the end of the first half is just kind of funny.
And
It's
Shane
like,
was so mad about that.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I could, yes, Shane, I could definitely tell. Not too pleased. Because, when you think about it, and I asked Shane this earlier in the week, like, what's the most impressive thing about your offense right now? Because there's so many numbers.
Yeah.
He just went with the generic points, which, I was kind of like, really? But, he is right on that. To me, it's probably the red zone and the goal to go, Matt. Because you just see it every week where teams move it. I mean, the Colts have been outgained. I mean, you might have the number. They probably have been outgained in each of the last 2 games, or at least if you combine the last 2, they probably have been. And yet, here they are, 14 points better than the Chargers because they finish off drives and the Chargers didn't.
Yeah, no, I mean, to your point, I mean, it would be 15 out of 15, but they just ran out of time. And there's no reason to think that at the end of that second quarter that if they had more time that they absolutely would have scored based on, just how well this offense is rolling and how much they're executing inside the 20-yard line. And again, it sounds cliche, but you think players and not plays inside the 20-yard line, and you scheme up your best guys, Michael Pittman Jr. and, Tyler Warren, and then Josh Downs in the slot when he's healthy, because he can just find those small little windows and zone defense inside the red zone. But I think the biggest thing, too, is that they're running the ball well inside the red zone, and you have to run the ball well inside the red zone to set you up in favorable down and distance, near the goal line, or if it's like, 3rd and 3 at the 10 or something, you need a first down at the 7. You still have to be able to run the ball in tight quarters, and I think the Colts are doing that. Give Jonathan Taylor a lot of credit. Give this offensive line a lot of credit. But it's been so fascinating, because I said it at the end of that second quarter. When the Colts executed that 2-minute drive to perfection, and again, the only reason why they didn't get a touchdown is because they just ran out of time. But how about when Michael Pittman Jr. gets a first down and gets tackled, and he immediately, instead of just giving the ball to the ref, he runs over to the center and hands the ball to Tanner Bortolini to get it spotted as quick as possible to save the Colts some time to get on the ball, to spike it with 3 seconds, bring on the field goal team, get a walk-off field goal there before halftime. I mean, I just said it on air. I mean, the Colts are just so well coached. They are so well drilled and schooled in this stuff, and it started back in training camp. And, I told you guys then, I love the fact that the Colts spent a ton of time doing more team periods and more simulated periods, like, 2-minute drills or, red zone or third down. Instead of, I think there's a lot of merit to 7-on-7 and individual periods, but you get better at playing football by playing football and putting yourself into football situations. And that's what training camp was all about. And I think Shane Steichen deserves a ton of credit for how this team prepares, how they practice, the level of professionalism they have throughout the course of the week. And you just see it show up in little bitty windows that are just, for someone like me, like that's a football purist, when they execute at that high of a level, it gives you so much joy because, quite frankly, we've been subjected to a lot of up and down football the last couple of years.
Yeah, I've said it quite often. I think the Colts are almost weekly the smarter football team, and that can go a long, long way. And Shane Steichen sneaking a timeout against Jim Harbaugh. Those little things, they add up over time. Just a reminder again, that is 97.1 Hank FM. That's where you'll find Matt Taylor, Rick Venturi, and Lara Overton. 4:25, the kickoff coming up on Sunday. Mate, this from Q. I literally thought that was JMV earlier on the impersonation. So,
well, here's the deal, Q. You will just follow my voice. I will have a great-ass time coming up 3 to 6. We will talk about the greatness that is Kurt Cignetti. Big game against the Bruins down south. Q, you got me dialed in on the stream, the app, the lounge, wherever you find us. That's where you need to be, locked and loaded every day, 3 to 6 for this bad boy.
Oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The one, the only Matt Taylor. Mate, we'll see you in a couple hours, sir.
All right, boys. Have a good one.
That's Matt Taylor right there, voice of the Colts.
Is that Matt Taylor?
On the Pele. He can be Marv Albert. He can be Don Fisher. He can do a whole lot.
Yeah. So we already had Kevin Bowen's doppelganger.
Oh, Dominic Miranda.
First
earlier,
hour.
right?
I'm starting to hear it more and more every week, I tell you. And then we got the JMV doppelganger.
We got it all. We got you covered. In about 10, let's play Rick Carlisle's reaction to the gambling news in the NBA from yesterday. Rick hit on it pregame. Talked about it for about a minute or so, and had some comments about Chauncey Billups and just kind of where the Pacers are at from that standpoint. And so we'll play that coming up for you here around 9:30. Before that, Mark Dykton, let's go and check it out.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, inside of the Gainbridge Fieldhouse last night, we're used to the Pacers showing some guts, showing some grits. They did that once again. Unfortunately, did not end in a winning manner, though. 141-135, they lose in double OT. Just frankly ran out of bodies. I thought once Mathurin fouled out there early in the second overtime, it was probably over. SGA had 55, Mathurin 36, Siakam 32. James Boyd, just simply the empty tank came on for the Pacers, I think.
Yeah, this felt like when I was playing video games as a kid and I forgot to turn off the fatigue. Turning off the fatigue made the game a lot more fun. Guys getting tired, not fun.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. They were scrambling with the point guard situation, and it sounds like they could be here for, we'll see how long. Andrew Nembhard left with a left shoulder injury. He actually played through it looks like. I went back and watched the first half. I mean, he definitely gets locked with SGA at one point, appears to injure it, but played all the way up until halftime, and then did not return to the game. Rick Carlisle didn't sound overly optimistic about it afterwards, so we'll await official word on that because who the hell knows what point guard is going to look like for the Pacers coming up on this road trip. At Memphis tomorrow. That's no Zach Edey still, right? He's dealing with that ankle.
Covering from the ankle.
Foot, whatever it was.
Ankle.
In the offseason. But John Morant is playing. So Memphis tomorrow. Anthony Edwards and the T-Wolves coming up Sunday at Dallas on Wednesday for the Pacers. Their first road trip of the season. All right, over at West 56th Street, we'll see Matt Taylor in a few hours at the final Colts practice of the week. James Boyd, you will be caring about what?
I want to see Josh Downs out there. Always a little bit tricky with concussions. Well, I should rephrase that. It can be tricky with concussions. You want to see him complete the cycle through the protocol and get back out on the field, obviously, Sunday. And then from there, not too much else to really worry about. A couple of rest days, I would imagine, for DeForest Buckner and probably a few others, maybe Zaire Franklin. But their injury report is pretty much what I expected. You know, does Jalen Jones get out there and practice? I wouldn't expect him to play this week. I wouldn't play him this week. But more or less, I feel like it's the big week for JT Tuimoloau because you're down probably 2-year defensive ends.
Yeah, I think right now Josh Downs is a go. Ashton Doolin's a go. Jalen Jones, I'm with you, probably one more week. And then at the end, I think Samson Ebukam will definitely be out. We'll see about Taekwon Lewis. He's yet to practice this week. And to your point, that can mean JT Tuimoloau out. And the Titans, they are banged up. No L'Jarius Sneed, no Calvin Ridley, no Jeffrey Simmons coming up here on Sunday. We'll give our Colts-Titans picks in a few. All right, Thursday Night Football was a rout last night. The Chargers back in their good-looking uniforms all over the Vikings. In that one, Carson Wentz looked hurt and looked bad. We'll see how quickly they can get J.J. McCarthy back in the lineup. World Series Game 1 is tonight. That is, I almost said the Yankees. That is Dodgers and Blue Jays. North of the border, correct? We're starting that series in Toronto. Is that right?
I believe so.
And that will be some viewing for you here on this Friday evening. Speaking of Friday, it is the start of sectional play around the state. Again, a lot of the smaller classes tonight. Locally, we don't have a ton of action here. Addicts at Brebeuf, Chittard at Mooresville, Guerin at Hamilton Heights, Roncalli at Northview, Heritage Christian at Ritter, Monrovia at Cecina, Whiteland Seymour, your only 5A matchup of the night, 6A, with such a small class. They will start up coming up next weekend. College football down in Bloomington, Indiana, and UCLA. James Boyd, you worried at all about the Bruins for Kurt Cignetti's bunch? They are a massive underdog.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll put it at a 4. I mean, they give me a little trepidation, but not much because I just think that IU is rolling. And if there's anybody who's going to, tell us team to stay away from the rat poison, it will be Kurt Cignetti.
Assuming Nico Emilio-Alva, however you say his last name, is healthy for UCLA, I am a little surprised this line is very similar to the Michigan State line. I thought it'd be a little close, like 17 or 4. I thought it'd be a little bit closer, but it's huge, 24-25.
This is that Cignetti bump.
Here coming up. Cignetti, yeah, he definitely likes to cover. So that is noon on Fox, big noon kickoff. Speaking of noon, homecoming up there in West Lafayette. Purdue welcoming in Greg Schiano and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, 2 winless Big Ten teams. Rutgers actually a slight favorite in this one. We'll see who Purdue's starting quarterback will be. Ryan Brown banged up in their shutout loss to Northwestern last week. Speaking of the Boilers, Matt Painter and company down in Lexington tonight. I think it's SEC Network for the Purdue faithful. Very ready for basketball season. Exhibition game with Kentucky. Matt Painter did announce yesterday their starting lineup coming up. Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, Trey Kaufman-Wren, Oscar Clough, the big man from down under, for his rebounding, will be in the starting lineup over Daniel Jacobson and C.J. Cox, who I really like. I think ever since that Alabama game early in his freshman career, I think he just does a lot of the Andrew Nembhard type of little things for Purdue. He will round out the starting lineup. It's kind of funny. One of the things we haven't really talked about with Purdue, and I get it when you bring back, 3 players as star-studded of their careers have been, sometimes in college basketball or college sports in general, you say it often, what about sophomore leaps? Who kind of takes that jump? And Purdue's had a lot of them over the years. Well, that's C.J. Cox. That's Jakari Harris. That's Daniel Jacobson back from injury. I know Matt Painter has spoken highly of Jack Benter from Brownstown Central as a shooter, maybe being kind of a stretch 4 for him. So it just kind of goes to show you Purdue's depth, which is one of the things I think Matt Painter is very bullish on this season and what separates them maybe from even some past Purdue teams that you've held in high regard. All right, on the other side, Rick Carlisle's thoughts on the gambling news around the NBA. We'll play that for you. Still give you Colts-Titans picks here in Week 8. Kevin Bowe and James Boyd and Mark Dykton on a Friday.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Is this what they play right before the motorcycle comes out? Colts?
I think so. Joker and the Thief by Wolf Mother.
Gosh, I was just picturing myself like in a bar being able to do that. Standing in the corner on stage.
This is when I wish I had bangs so I could just shake my head.
I know. People like being like, man, look at that guy.
I know.
I want to be that guy.
Instead, James is wearing X-ray glasses and Kevin is
I'm wearing a
donning
Notre Dame basketball
apparel.
T-shirt. You guys coming over tonight? Notre Dame DePaul exhibition game 6:30.
I'll bring the Daisy sour cream.
Say no, French onion and ranch.
I'm sorry, dip, whatever.
Preferably.
Yeah. All of it's good.
Yeah, boy,
doesn't matter
will be
what it
tired.
is.
I'm tired after last. I'm not gonna lie to you, man.
I am too.
That was a hell of an effort. Hell of an effort you gave last night. You walked out of Gamebridge Fieldhouse very, very late. Rick Carlisle did have some comments pregame on what a wild day it was in the NBA yesterday. Rick Carlisle, head of the Coaches Association, right, for at least a couple more months, if I'm not mistaken. Here were his thoughts on what was quite the news day with Adam Silver in the building last night at Gamebridge.
It's a shocking day. I reached out today to Chauncey to see how he was doing. He did not answer, but the Coaches Association, we support all of our coaches, and so reached out to him and his representatives, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. But and this is a very serious situation. The irony, I guess, of it is, from my perspective, yesterday was a day when our general counsel came down and read us all the regulations on gambling and all, and warned, our coaching staff, our players, our support staff about all these different things. In terms of the details of the allegations, I don't know any of that. But it's a world that's a different world than it was a few years ago with the advent of legalized gambling, and I guess there's another aspect of this is unrelated to basketball. So, I will not comment on that, but a shocking day, and we'll see what happens as all the facts are collected.
So again, that was Rick Carlisle pregame.
I'm sorry for laughing.
Last night.
I called Chauncey. He did not answer.
That is my favorite part of the whole thing.
It sounds like we're doing like a Saturday Night Live bit. Like, I know Rick Carlisle's being dead serious, but I am not a serious person myself, so I got to giggle at that. That is hilarious.
Can't imagine why Chauncey wasn't answering his phone.
Hey, man. God bless Rick Carlisle for wearing the hat of being the head of the Coaches Association.
Boy,
he's gonna support his coaches.
That is support like you wouldn't believe.
Mark, what'd you say during the break about Chauncey's phone yesterday?
I think Cash Patel was probably hanging out with it, and he's like, "I got to take this call real quick, though. It's Rick Carlisle." Can you imagine when he does get his phone back, he's see missed calls like Rick Carlisle called me like 20 minutes afterwards.
Cash, it's Tuesday at 8, man. We got to get Rick Carlisle on the line here. That I did have to chuckle at that. For those that maybe have missed the story or not totally up to date, and again, guys, feel free to correct me on anything that you feel like I'm wrong on or I'm missing here. Let's start with Terry Rozier. Played in the league for about a decade. Currently with Miami Heat. I don't think he played on opening night. But a couple years ago in a game with Charlotte, he had a game where he exited early due to injury, and it was later known he had informed some people that this was the plan and that a massive amount of money was bet on his unders for the night. So these are individual player props. Typically you can bet on over and unders on points, rebounds, assists, 3-pointers made, that sort of thing. And that is the Terry Rozier element to this. Chauncey Billups, it sounds like there are a couple of questions. One, involved in a underground poker game across multiple cities with, I guess, some sort of affiliation or association with the Italian mafia, in that there was doctored up cards, there was special glasses worn that had some sort of vision element to them that helped see through things. There were cameras in the tables and, wirings of people outside the venue to people inside the venue on what cards were. I mean, all of it sounds wild.
Sounds like a Netflix show.
It really does. But the Billups stuff, it doesn't sound like stops there. It sounds like he might have been a part of a little bit of the Rozier side of it in this way, and providing, again, intel to people out there on when the Trailblazers, and again, for those that haven't kept up with it, Chauncey Billups has been the Trailblazers coach and is currently the Trailblazers coach for the last 4 years, providing some intel on who they were playing, they were tanking, blah, 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 that sort of element, which I get there's a little bit of gray area in some of that, but still, I think that's where we're at with all of this. The 4 teams that were bet on: the Hornets, the Lakers, the Raptors, and the Trailblazers.
What a unique situation, to put it mildly.
I thought you were going to say bleep show.
That too. I mean, my goodness. And then you got Damon Jones, former Cavs assistant coach, former Cavs player, apparently telling people when LeBron's not going to play and getting money from that. So LeBron James had his name included in some of that stuff. Not that he did anything wrong, but this is widespread. This is an epidemic.
I think the NBA as a whole has a erosion of trust amongst fans. Like, we had the Tim Donaghy stuff back in the day. We've had this now, but we also had like the Kawhi stuff just a couple months ago with that too. And so there's all this stuff going on where it's like, and we knew this was going to happen with sports once you take the gambling money. But when people are putting their hard-earned money on games and this and that, this is kind of the line in the sand that you're crossing, that stuff like this is going to start happening, where people are going to have doubts about like, that guy went 2 of 11 tonight. Was it possibly because he had the under? Now, I'm not saying other players are doing this, but that's what people are going to think, because there's just been an erosion of trust in the NBA and how this has gone, because it seems like it's one thing after another where there's, Luka Doncic gets dealt to L.A. and no one knew that the Dallas Mavericks were shopping him. He just happened to go to L.A. Oh, and look who ended up with Cooper Flagg. What a nice gift from Dallas. There's just lots of things going on around the league where it's like there is a trust issue here, and these kinds of things happening are not helping anybody, including the league, as far as getting trust from the public.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth in that. Even if all of those things aren't necessarily, obviously, fully true, Mark, I do think benefit of the doubt in the public eye is waning very quickly.
2 quick points. One, Kawhi Leonard, here's a get-out-of-jail-free card, I guess. I mean, he's now like the story that we're probably not going to follow as closely because of how crazy this other stuff is. And then 2, to your point about eroding trust, one of the bigger questions I have is, how did the NBA investigate Terry Rozier? They were notified of this early.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Investigated it, and then they came to the conclusion that he didn't do anything wrong. And then the FBI steps in and says, no. Yes, he did. And then, again, the enormous amount of evidence so far that we've read about leads me to believe, and again, I don't know much. I'm not in the rooms with these people, but I'm like, did you sweep this under the rug? Because how are they saying people got money and then dropped it off at his house after he did it, and you were like, oh, no, we looked at that. You know what? Terry, did you do this? No.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
And my thing, and this goes back, do you guys remember when we had the SEC baseball coach that placed, it was affiliated, I think,
remember
with
this. Yes.
somewhere in Cincinnati.
Yeah, by the Red Stadium.
He placed the bets there. He knew the starting pitcher was going to be out for that Friday night's game, or, he knew the SEC baseball coach that had informed him of this. And remember, it immediately flagged. Like, why is someone in Ohio betting 6 figures on an SEC baseball game? Mm-hmm. So my question is, because they said the Rozier thing flagged, like immediately at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, why are all these people flooding the unders on Terry Rozier for a game happening 5 hours from now? Like, when that immediately flagging happens, I get the investigation needs to be thorough. But to me, having to wait 2 years before we then get to this is a huge issue. You've got to get this settled as quickly and attack it as possible in order to offer some, and I get it, you're a long ways away from solving integrity and whatever, getting the public back on the side of benefit, to Mark's point that he just laid out there. But like, that to me is also a big issue.
Well, and you've got
this can't linger for as long as it did.
And on top of all that, you've got people spending hard-earned money on expensive tickets, and then you've got the whole, well, they're going to rest today, or the Stars are going. You never know when anyone's playing.
Ooh,
and this,
yeah.
that. So
Pandora's
there's all
box.
that going on with it, too, where it's just like, and I love the NBA, but these are just issues that have mounted over the years, and you could just see where people are like, oh, right, what is going on here? Like, Adam Silver's a very player-friendly commissioner and all that stuff. But at some point, you got to say, all right, you got to put your foot down on something because this can't keep happening.
No, seriously. Literally, every single joke yesterday, and I don't mean this in a trolling way, but like Andrew Nemhard gets hurt, and then people are like,
I saw that.
In my mentions, they're just like, oh, what's going on with Andrew Nemhard? And I'm like,
yeah.
That's
And
not a
guess
good
what?
look for the league,
It's a sad reality.
LeBron and Steph ain't going to be here much longer. So you got to have some new stars coming and all that stuff. So you got a litany of issues going on, and you're going to have a transition period as far as NBA star power is concerned. So it's tough sledding right now, I would say, if you're in the NBA office this morning.
Yeah, I'm typically a person that can put a lot of that stuff to the side, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching the game last night. But when it starts to snowball and it starts to add up, frankly, it's very hard to ignore. Very hard to ignore. All right, we'll do it one final time here. We'll give our picks. Colts Titans here in Week 8.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, thank you for starting your Friday morning with us, Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton. James, you did write a piece up on The Athletic with some potential trade deadline candidates. A week from Tuesday is the NFL trade deadline. Kind of a quiet week for the NFL with trades after a little bit of a busier October. A name or two that was uber intriguing to you that you threw on that list? Because you did all the positions, right? Defensively, corner, linebacker, and D-end.
Oh, Lord. Mark Dykton, you
Very
are
flexible, James Boyd.
One of a kind, my friend.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I went through a couple of names. I would say of the more talented and bigger names that are still realistic, I think Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb, the Miami Dolphins defensive ends, are worth looking into. Jalen Phillips, former first-round pick, has some injury history, but he's 6'5", he's explosive, he is healthy again this year, knock on wood. And then Bradley Chubb, older player, still has a couple years left on his deal. I think 3 years left on his deal, but no guarantee money after this season. Two-time Pro Bowler. I think those two guys could absolutely help you in the pass rush game. I reached out to some Titans people I know. They were all like, anybody who's not named Cam Ward or Jeffrey Simmons is up for grabs. So I had Arden Key, an edge rusher from there. If you're looking at linebackers, Logan Wilson from Ben Baby, let me back up a little bit. Logan Wilson is a Cincinnati Bengals linebacker. ESPN's Ben Baby reported that he requested a trade. I had him on my list as well. Work with Lou Anarumo, kind of rangy guy. Can he help you and be had for I put in here every player that I put out there as far as potential trade, what their compensation would be. 5th-round pick for Logan Wilson. Upgrade your linebacker room. Is it worth it? He's familiar face. And then looking at some of the cornerbacks, another familiar face, I forgot to say his first name, but Awuzie, the cornerback for the Baltimore Ravens, is someone who played for Anarumo, could be had for probably a late day 3 pick. Just a little more insurance when it comes to the cornerback room. So plenty of names out there, but I tried to keep my list of 10 players to 10 players I could realistically see the Colts actually making a move for. So no Myles Garrett, no Max Crosby, no Trey Hendrickson, boo-hoo, but I tried to keep you all and not cheat you all with the exercise.
Yeah, again, we got a text here. Would a 2nd and 5th be something they would do for Trey Hendrickson? I just don't see Cincinnati doing it. And what was the report? Didn't Albert Breer have a report earlier this year? Albert Breer had, I think it was a 1st and Grover Stewart. Is that right? For Hendrickson?
I actually didn't see that.
I thought he did. I could be off.
But point being, they're back in the playoff mix. That win last week against Pittsburgh was huge for them.
Sure. And they got the JETS coming up this weekend, the Jets. All right, let's go around the horn here with our picks. It is a 14.5-point spread, Colts over Titans. Just to remind everybody, it's the 12th time since the turn of the century the Colts have been a touchdown or more favorite. They are 10-1 in these games. It's the 2nd biggest favorite of anything we've seen here in the NFL this season. And the over-under for the 425 kickoff is 47.5. Mark Dykton, you want to lead us off?
Sure. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be close. I think, like you said, this might be like a mini bye week for the Colts because I think a lot of the starters might get some rest time, especially in the second half. We've got the Colts rolling 34-10. I don't know if Jason Hammer said throw down some extra coin on Jonathan Taylor for 3 touchdowns. I would love that as a Jonathan Taylor fantasy football owner. I also don't know if he's going to play enough to get 3 touchdowns.
You're up.
Yeah, it might be kind of a, throw a dart against the board as far as anytime touchdown scores because you might have a plethora of Colts wide receivers and running backs getting in on the mix. Plethora? I don't know. I need to call James Rakestraw. Or Joe. Jesus. Greg Rakestraw. James, too.
Ooh, baby, yeah, let's get to the weekend.
Please.
Feels like you got that Woodford shot from yesterday still sitting in your system.
It'll get you drunk.
I'm going Colts 31-13. Flipping the old score there. I don't see the Titans scoring more than 1 touchdown in this game.
31-6. Colts over.
Which, hey,
Titans.
Good
I'm
Lord.
not surprised.
They're bad and they're hurt. Not a good combo there. Again, Jeffrey Simmons, L'Jarius Sneed, Calvin Ridley all out. This is first versus worst. And you know what? I hold the Colts in particularly high regard when it comes to handling their business, being a professional. The Colts don't strike me as a team that, will be out partying late tonight. Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones were doing they were at Hinkle last Friday, so I don't think that it'll be anything too crazy from an overlooking standpoint.
We have 60 seconds left. One way that the Titans can make this game close.
They are healthier at running back. Tajay Spears, Tony Pollard. That's a nice combo, I think. And their O-line is a little bit healthier than it was in week 3. But clearly I don't believe that because I just said what my score was.
They find out that the Colts are running an underground gambling ring that involves the mafia, and they report it to Roger Goodell, and they forfeit the game.
Shane Steichen does offer a pretty good poker face at times during press conferences.
I'm just saying.
Whenever he doesn't want to talk about something, though, he gets real quiet. I think you can know when he shows his cards.
Process a lot.
He says process a lot. Thank you, boys. Enjoyed it the last couple of days. Again, Jeff will be back on Monday. Just remind everybody it'll be Hank FM 97.1 for the game coverage coming up on Sunday. Everybody have a awesome